Hello, everybody. Welcome into today's latest live broadcast. It is the 6th of July. It's Sunday, 2025. I'm Carey Holzman, and thank you guys for tuning in. Hello to all the members joining us in the live chat. And it's our Gatorade Brigade. I'm going to start calling you guys that. Eugene Ildago, Luke Greenia, David Graham, Mark Baggett, all say hello here in the chat. I also see Eddie Casanova, our good friend Buster, with a $14 Amazon gift card just prior to the show. Thank you, Buster. Mark Gaines and Frank Jimmy. I also see Richard DeFries, Andy W6AD, Ben Laird saying hello there from Scotland. Thomas MacT and Mortant1210 say hello. And if I scroll up a little bit, I see Mark Leibowitz and 3D Everything saying hello as well. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday today. Thomas MacT renews his membership, now a member for 34 months. Right on. He says, hello, Carey, Mara, and members. It's 88 degrees here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Oh, man, don't talk to me about weather. We're about to break temperature records this week. I think, is it Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? There's a national weather alert for people living in Phoenix to stay indoors between the hottest hours of the day. Maybe setting some new heat records for this time of year, but I'm just staying in the house till about at least 7 o'clock when the sun starts to head down, and usually by about, no, I was going to say 7 o'clock the sun's right in your face, so it's got to be closer to 8 o'clock where we get to dusk. Then it's okay to go outside again. I'll tell you what, that just happens to align with my schedule anyway. I'm not really complaining about it because everybody's always out running around. Everybody's got somewhere to go. They don't want to be wherever they are. Clearly, based on the traffic on the roads, it's insane out here. But as soon as the sun goes down, it's like they all finally go home and settle in, and then that's when I come out. Finally, wait for the crowds to clear. And it just so happens that's also when the weather's cooler. It's not so crowded, and that's when the grocery shopping gets done. That's all I'm saying. I want to go to the grocery store in the middle of the afternoon, have everything frozen, melting in my car on the way home, and then wait in a long line to pay for the groceries, and they're just sitting there melting some more. So yeah, the nighttime is the right time for me. Speaking of which, I know it's probably nighttime for many of you watching in Europe, in the UK, about 8 or 9 hours ahead. That puts you about 10 o'clock at night over there. 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Just 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in Phoenix. We're on Pacific time right now, which is the same as California, until the fall. In the fall, when California takes their clocks back an hour, we don't. So then we become an hour ahead of California because we did not set our clocks back. We never set our clocks. So for those of you living pretty much everywhere else, do know in the fall and throughout the winter, our shows may start an hour later than you're used to. Just so you know. And of course, we'll remind you that as that gets nearer. Dazzle555 joins us and says hello. Welcome in, everybody. Today, I've got a mini PC review for you today. I already said today. Today, I'm going to review a mini PC today that I just received today that I'm going to show you today. No. This is why we work with scripts. Actually, this mini PC has been out for a little while. And here's the thing. Amazon Prime Day is Tuesday through Friday, right? It'd be July 8th. That's Tuesday, right? Yeah. July 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are Amazon Prime Day. And throughout these Amazon Prime Day days, they're going to be offering deals all throughout the days. So it's not like you just get one sale and it's sold out and too late. Too bad, so sad. They will keep introducing new deals, and where I'm anticipating seeing some deals will be on mini PCs. I don't know what the deals are going to be or who's going to offer them or when, but as soon as I find out, I'll let you know, because this is one of the contenders potentially that you might want to consider as an entry-level PC. There's nothing new about this computer. The Trycoo WI6 has been reviewed by other content reviewers upwards of a year ago. But it's still a great entry-level PC. It's, I think it's 12th gen, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at the Amazon page for this, and I'm going to show you what we're talking about. And there is a sale at Amazon right now on it, but I think, and I could be wrong, but I think there's going to be a better sale in just a couple days. And let me go over to the Amazon page here, and oh, it's a 13th gen actually. Let's go to our window capture. Here it is. Mini PC computers, right? That really should say Trycoo WI6, but okay. 13th gen N150. Turbo's up to 3.6. It's got 16 gigs of DDR4. That's going to be a single channel of RAM. This is a budget computer. It's not a gaming computer. It is not a workstation. This would be great for a home theater PC or for general computer use such as email, web browsing, paying bills, literally anything other than gaming. Okay. I don't know why anybody looking to game would be looking at anything under $1,000. I mean, wishful thinking, I guess. But anyway, 512 gig SATA SSD. Don't, again, putting NVMe in this or adding 32 gigs of RAM, it's like throwing hubcaps on a lawnmower. This is not what it's designed for. You won't really see any advantage from that. Most people won't. If you need something more capable, buy something more capable. This would meet the needs, this would exceed the needs of 90% of my clients in real life. The mini PC has Type-C USB on there. Let's see if I can make that bigger. We've got 2 HDMI outs, which a lot of people like better than the DisplayPort, a couple of USB 2s, our Ethernet LAN, and a barrel power connector. On the other side, we've got 2 more USB. Those are 3 USB 3.0, I think. I'm not sure. We'd have to take a look at the specs. 3 point something Type A's, and then a USB 3 Type C. You've got your audio jack there, 3.5 millimeter with a recessed reset switch. I don't know anybody who's ever needed to reset a mini PC unless you got in there and monkeyed around with something. So, you know what? FAFO is what they say. And then there's the power switch, of course, and this is a very thin computer. It's supposed to be really quiet. It's going to sip power, very low power, 15 watt TDP. I mean, come on. It's got 4 cores, so let's not turn our noses up at the fact it's got 4 cores. That's more than most NASs have. And then on top of that, 30 dB noise level is lower on an N150 than the noise level on a N100. So again, as the numbers get bigger, the product is becoming more improved. And of course, it's got the RAM and storage are pre-installed along with Wi-Fi as well. And those can all be upgraded, although I don't know why you would. Looks like the USB Type-C delivers 10 gigabits per second and does power delivery. And DisplayPort 1.4 output all come out of that. So you could have 3 monitors on this total running at the same time. Yeah, there they are, running 4K at 60 Hertz on all 3 simultaneously. The network connections, gigabit, it's Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 4.2. Current version of Wi-Fi is 7, though most people, if you have a fast Wi-Fi, it's probably 6. And Bluetooth, well, I think they're at 5.3. I don't really know many people that have anything that, other than a brand new phone, that would run anything beyond Wi-Fi, beyond Bluetooth 5. So, again, you know what you have. I don't know what you have. There's a little bit of detail here with regards to USB 2 there, HDMI 2.0. These are great for keyboard and mouse inputs. And then the blue ones are USB 3.2s. There we go. Now we have our answer. And Type-C, I'm guessing, is 3.2 as well. Okay. Okay. Now, this unit, as I understand it, you can open this up and get in there pretty easily. But again, doing so is probably a waste of time. I've seen people drop $400 worth of NVMe and storage into a $150 computer. And I just shake my head and just go get my box of popcorn and just watch the entertainment. So the way these are built, you're really going to get your best bang for the buck if you leave them alone. The minute you start trying to upgrade them, you might as well have just bought something with that already in there, because now you're spending more to do it yourself. You can see they've got a few deals here. Just buying one, I guess, is just 7%. If you buy 5, you save 10%. 10% would be about $18.90. That would bring that price down to about $160. We'll wait and see what Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday have in store for this, as well as other mini PCs. And if we, or should say, when we find of any deals of any mini PCs, when we know about it, we'll let you know. And if you know about something, all you got to do is just highlight the title and copy and paste it into our comments, and we can just search for that title, because I don't think the comments allow for links, but we can add it to video notes or etc. But do let us know. There's a bit of information here. Just kind of goes through the 1-year warranty, starting from the purchase date, and their support, etc., etc. So all that's pretty much the same. And you can see here, if I ordered it as a Prime member, I get it tomorrow. So Amazon is shipping these and they're in stock. Okay. Let's do some unboxing. Documentation. Wow, this thing is thin. This is like a sandwich. This is about the shape and size and thickness of a sandwich. And it's a lot crunchier. Set that there. Inside we have a inspected by number 43. I don't know. This is our power brick. We have a short HDMI cable, which if you wanted to mount this computer behind your monitor, there's this thing called a VESA bracket with screws that will screw into a compatible monitor that supports VESA mounting, and then the other two go to the back of the computer. Now that can obviously make it very difficult if you're trying to reach the power button or any of the ports when everything's back behind the monitor, but it frees up all your desk space, and it's just a personal choice. And of course, you could also mount that bracket under a desk or against a wall. You don't have to put it under a monitor. Let me bring this up to the camera here and I will show you close up. But I got to get my glasses for the close up. At least I can find my glasses. What's our power brick power here? This is... Wow, it is hard to read. 12 volt. It's not, there's a combination that makes it hard to read. One is the size of the font, and the other is the color. I mean, can you read that? Can you even see there's text there? If that was white text on black, it would be easier to read. But now I'll get out the big glasses. It auto switches from 110 to 240 volts. So if you live in Europe, you just put an adapter on here. It auto switches the voltage. You don't need any voltage adapter. It is 1 amp maximum. When does it say 1 amp maximum? Output is 12 volts at 3 amps. All right, well, there you go. There is no name on this, so I would get a silver Sharpie or a label maker, and I would write Trycoo on it or WI6, something, so I would know if these get separated ever in the future, I know where they go. You definitely do not want to plug the wrong power adapter into your clock radio or whatever else you got that takes power adapters, another mini PC, because then it might let the magic smoke out, and then you can throw it in the garbage can after that. All right, let me bring this up close. We'll take a look here at the back. Got a little warning back here that says to set up more quickly, avoid using Wi-Fi for LAN initially. Yeah. May trigger prolonged updates. I agree. Peel that off. Let's put that right here. Does that look good? And then we've got right here another warning. Press delete to enter the BIOS setup. F7 to enter boot options. BIOS settings are risky and unauthorized alterations may cause the computer to fail to boot. Please tear off this label before using the product. You got it. Okay. If we want to get into this thing, screws in each corner. Notice they're not under the rubber feet. Huh? Somebody's listening. I like it. And venting. Venting. So my guess is the CPU vent must be either this side or this side, probably whichever side's heavier. And these little screws right here, that's for the VESA mounting bracket right there, those little brass screw mounts. I should hide that. Hide this better. Here, just put it on the floor. Take my glasses off. Pose for the thumbnail. Can't get far enough back. All right, freeze frame. I'll put Mara to work. She can put that in the thumbnail. Just when she thought she was done. All right, let's see if we can get this bad boy hooked up. And we'll go through our first setup, right? Our first power up, which goes through a Windows out-of-box experience. When you buy these really inexpensive entry-level mini PCs, it's not so much a lack of power, so much as a lack of power cable. These are usually way too short for me. I laugh because don't you wish all your cables could just be that long? And I mean this in a way that they would all reach, and then that way you wouldn't have all the clutter under your desk. It would just be so much easier if everything would just reach with a 4-foot cable. I mean, that looks like about 4 feet to me. So this is a little tricky because my power cable's down on the floor behind me, and I've got to get up a couple feet off the floor onto the desk, plus the distance back to the wall. Let's see if it'll reach. Now, of course, it's nothing an extension cable wouldn't fix, but sure would be nice if they gave me about, I don't know, 6 feet, 8 feet. Split it down the middle, let's call it 7. I'd rather have a little bit extra. I'm gonna have a problem, Houston. I guess I can drag the little surge protector this way. Let's see. We're gonna plug in our power. Usually you save that for last, but you know, we're unscripted. I make this up as I go. We need video output, so we need an HDMI cable. We are not going to go online with this until after we set it up, just like. And let's see, I need a keyboard and a mouse. So I will use this keyboard and mouse right up here. Move that here, move that there. I'll turn this on, turn that on, grab my USB dongle for the keyboard and mouse. We'll plug it in the back. Looks pretty good to me. I think that's all we need for our first power on, just those 3 cables. We got a blue light. Let's go over to HDMI 3. That's the output of this. That's what it's called. That's what I've labeled it. And it starts to boot. It's dead quiet. I cannot hear a thing. Of course, the air conditioner's on for some reason. Maybe because it's boiling lava hot outside. All right, this is our first time booting this up. As you can see, we did not receive any damaged product. That very rarely happens anymore. The amount of concern I see coming from the audience about, you know, how much product do you get that's bad? It very rarely happens. You know, we did get those power supplies from ES Gaming that turned out to not be good, but that's the design of the power supply. It wasn't like it was damaged in shipping. Okay, we want to do English United States, yes. And United States is our region. United States is our keyboard layout. We're not going to add a secondary keyboard layout. I am not connecting to the internet. You see it says I don't have internet down here. For our very first setup, we're going to continue with limited setup. That allows me to create a local account instead of an online account with Microsoft. So we want that. I want a local account, so if I sell this or give it away, it doesn't have any of my personal login info cached on it. And it's just more professional. Now, at any point, you can create a new user, you can change the username, or you can log into a Microsoft account if you choose to use one. However, even if I was keeping this for myself, I would still be setting it up exactly the same way I'm showing you. Now, once we get to the desktop, I can go ahead and plug it into the network and start checking for Windows updates. And then we can take a look at our device manager, see what's in there, look for any bloatware or anything like that. These days, even that's pretty uncommon now. I think those days are behind us. One of the main reasons the bloatware was on there was due to the number of consumers that were buying PCs. I think the number of consumer PCs has gone down by 400 million in the last couple of years. Oh, wants to do this again. Why does it want to do that again? I don't have network. That should not have come up again. That was weird. Okay, there's our license agreement. Username, user, enter, enter. And we're going to turn everything off but location settings. And my date and time can stay current and up to date. Don't worry if the date and time on this is set 12 hours ahead or behind because it's manufactured in Asia, which, for those of you who don't know, is a different time zone from where you are, probably. So, of course, the date and time may be backwards. It may even have a wrong day because of the 12-hour time difference. So don't freak out about it. Just leave it alone, and Windows will automatically adjust it once we go online. So you don't have to fat finger it anymore. Also, getting back to consumers. Consumers are stepping away from computers, as they should be. I don't think computers should ever be in the hands of consumers to begin with. Computers, personal computers, those are creation devices. But very few consumers ever create anything with it, except maybe emails and maybe they do a little Word or Excel, minor little things that you could do through websites, right? You can use Google Write and Google Spreadsheets. You don't need Microsoft Office. Most home users don't need it. So in most cases, you're just reading documents. You're not creating them. You're reading books. You're not writing them. You're watching movies. You're not making movies. So for those of us that make the movies and make the books and do the work, we need PCs, and that's not going anywhere. The business is good there. But for home users, they're realizing, hey, I can get by off a smartphone, I can get by off a tablet. Right. And if all you do is go out to eat and you never ever cook at home, you don't need a kitchen, you don't need a refrigerator, and you don't need a stove. Right? You can just always go out to eat. The kitchen is for creating meals. All right, so let's go to camera 1 here for a second. And what I'm going to do is plug it into the network. You could also go on Wi-Fi, but again, because we're live here, we'll just go right onto the network with a cable. It's faster and cleaner. And then switch back over here. And what I want to do, I know the updates are going to take a while, so I just want to go ahead and start updates right now. And you'll notice when I plugged it in, all those icons propagated in the start menu. These little things like Xbox, that's not bloatware. Bloatware would take minutes to uninstall. This uninstalls within the time I've unclicked the mouse button. It's already gone. Same with LinkedIn. These are just shortcuts. They're not a big deal, and I would not install a piece of Windows software designed to take off Windows software. It's like installing an uninstaller tool to uninstall programs. If you're trying to uninstall programs, stop installing programs. I would only use an uninstaller if a program did not uninstall correctly. And even then, I would still reinstall that program first and try the natural uninstaller. People don't seem to understand the consequences. They think using an uninstaller program is being smart. I think it's being profoundly ignorant of how an operating system works. So you do it your way, and as a professional held accountable by my customers, I'm going to do it my way. I'm telling you what my way is. I'm not asking you. And I'm telling you, it is very, very rare that I ever install a piece of software to modify Windows in any way other than if it's sanctioned by Microsoft or I created it myself, because I take accountability for that and my reputation's on the line. Now, you can tinker with your computer. You could try setting it on fire if you want to. Have fun with that. I don't have that luxury. So I want you to know that my way of doing things is maybe not going to agree with what you think, what you've been told by other enthusiasts who don't hold any accountability to anybody, including you. So it is your computer, and you're welcome to do with it what you want, just as this one is mine. I'm showing you how I do things, and I'm sharing with you professional industry information that is not usually made public. If you choose to spit on it or devalue it, you know, that's on you, right? I just, I am providing the fuel. If you want to use it, use it. If you don't, that's fine. You don't need to tell me why either way. I have a business to run, and it doesn't require any prerequisite of approval from anybody but my paying customers. So I'm telling you this after 34 years of being in this industry. I'm very generous and transparent with the reasoning and the logic behind why we do things. And when you're just answering to yourself, none of this information is probably beneficial for you. Now, when I look here as we're downloading updates, I can also check, well, a few things. One, it looks like we're in 4K. So I'm going to go right-click on the desktop here, go to display settings, and see if we can get back to 1080, because this is too tiny for my eyes. 1920 by 1080. There we go. We're going to keep those changes, and we're going to go back to Windows Update just so I can keep an eye on it, although that's probably, yeah, there's a lot of updates missing on this. Let's right-click on the Start menu, and let's go to System. And here we can find, you know, what's our processor, what's our RAM. And you can see we've got Windows 23H2. Windows 24H2 came out in October 2024. We're likely we'll see a 25H2 in somewhere around the same time period, October, November. And I think if you wait, you're going to be miserable. So I would just right out of the box, before I start using this computer, I consider this my burn-in test. I make sure all of my updates are installed correctly and that there hasn't been any blue screens or overheating. This is a very good burn-in test. And make sure you burn in the computer before you start configuring it, because you might end up needing to send it back in some cases. Most cases, no, but you know, I always hear from the customer that says, well, if there's a bad one, I'm the one who's going to get it. You don't have any idea, like nearly every customer says that, but it very rarely ever happens anymore. So they keep saying it, but it's just not happening. Right down here, I don't like this cartoony thing, so I'm going to get rid of that by typing search permissions right there, and scroll all the way to the bottom and turn more settings to off. So with that done now, I'm going to just close that. The Windows Update's still running in the background. Right-click, I'm going to go to Device Manager, and we can see who makes some of the stuff in here. So for example, if we want to know who makes our network controller, that is made by Realtek on the wireless side. It's a 8822CE wireless. That's 802.11ac with Bluetooth. These two are the same controller. And then for our wired LAN, it's a Realtek PCIe gigabit Ethernet controller. Our display adapter is going to be Intel's built-in to the CPU. Again, this is a budget machine, and it is an entry-level machine. This would be great if it sat next to a TV as a home theater PC, because it's really quiet and unobtrusive. On the other hand, it would also sit on most people's desks and be able to do everything but gaming. So while you could do some gaming on this, I mean, you could use a lawnmower as a car. You could drive your lawnmower down the street to get you to the grocery store, I suppose. but it's not a smart or safe thing to do. There's the appropriate tool for the appropriate job, and so I think people that can't afford gaming are trying to make it affordable, and what you'll end up with is not gaming. At least a $500 gaming computer is not the same as a $1,000 gaming computer. Is not the same as a $2,000 gaming computer. The capabilities go right along hand in hand with the amount of money. It is a very expensive luxury to game, not only financially, but time. You've got to have the time and the money, not only for the computer, but the games. All right, so everything adds up real quickly on gaming, and if you have that time and you have that kind of money, God bless you. I mean, I think that's fantastic. Maybe someday when I'm 75 years old and retired, I will have that time. I probably won't have the money, but I'll have the time. I probably have the money now to do that, but I don't have the time. So I either have the time or I have the... Anyway, all right, while we're waiting, I can get rid of this. Uninstall the Office 365 trial there. And then we can also uninstall Outlook. Although some people like to use it, I just take it out. A lot of times, if you are paying for email service, such as a GoDaddy account, you get a free copy of licensed Outlook, so you don't need to buy it. If it's Gmail, of course, you get what you pay for. If you keep getting things for free, just say thank you. If it's not good enough, open your wallet. That's the way life is. Anytime anybody offers you anything for free and you accept it, the proper response is thank you. Nothing else is acceptable. It's frustrating to me to see the world turn into a bunch of entitled people, and the result is all that stuff the entitled people are abusing goes away for the rest of us. So a lot of services and things that were free, like water, radio, television, it's not free anymore. People started demanding it. People started complaining about it, and now we all pay for it. So if you're paying for it and you're complaining about it, well, that's absolutely understandable. But when it's free, no matter what it is, the only response is either thank you or no thank you. Otherwise, it's probably going to go away when it's being abused and expected. So just so you know, not that I'm going to change it, but watch it happening around you as the years go forward, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, where things going that are free are going away. People just don't really comprehend that somebody's getting paid to provide that free item, and how can they keep paying themselves or paying somebody else for whatever the free thing is. It costs somebody some money. And over time, if you're not making any money, you just will run out of money. So that sacrifice deserves a response that says free. If you say, well, they're spying on me, then don't take it. Because heaven forbid, that's the only way they make a nickel. What cracks me up about the whole spying thing is we don't know who you are. So I could, for example, I could find out all kinds of dirt on you. But if I don't know who you are and nobody else knows who you are, what good does that do me? Now, if you're a celebrity politician, somebody I could embarrass in the press, I probably have some motivation to come after you. But as regular folks, you have anonymity just because nobody knows who you are. It's obscurity, security through security through obscurity. It's not an insult. It's your superpower. So let them look. Who cares? There's nothing on there that identifies you, and if it did identify you, nobody knows who you are. Now, we're talking differently than identity theft or ransomware and things like that. But again, that only affects you. That doesn't affect me. It's not going to be in the news. Nobody cares. I don't know how else to explain this to you, because until you're known, until people identify you as a politician or somebody in the public, it's not newsworthy. So it's not like somebody's out targeting you. When it comes to advertising, we all get advertised to the same. If you don't like the rain, but it's raining outside for everybody that lives around you too. It's not all about you. Anyway, as we wait for these downloads to install, we're still going to have to put 24H2 on this. And let me go back to camera one here as we're waiting. The memory in this is not going to be DDR5. The SSD in here is not going to be massive, and it's not going to be fast, like in the sense of NVMe. again, you'd be held up by the CPU, which is soldered onto the board. It wouldn't make any sense to turn around and put large amounts of storage in this and a large amount of RAM when it makes very little difference to the actual mother of everything controlling it, the CPU. In order to change the CPU, you'd have to desolder it, put a different board in there with a different chipset that had more lanes of travel, more capability, that costs more money. So you're not getting anything for nothing. It's a matter of buying what it is you need. If, for example, you go to the fast food restaurant and they say, do you want to make your order a small, a medium, or a large? This is no different. Do you want to make your computer a small, a medium, or large in the sense of how much do you want? Not in the sense of size. How much do you want? How much RAM? Do you want cheese with that? That's a little extra. You want fries? That's a little extra. Well, I want all of it in a large, but I want to pay the small price. You understand how unreasonable that is and why these prices exist. At this price point, this is a lot of value for the money. And if you go to the fast food restaurant, you get the large combo, and you only eat half of it and throw it away because the large combo had better value. It doesn't have better value if you're throwing half of it away because you're full. So why would you spend the extra money when the smaller size will fill you up? You're not hungry enough, or maybe you don't have the appetite for medium or large, but the medium or large is only 20 cents more. You just wasted 20 cents. You didn't get a deal. You just helped fill the garbage can up and go add to food waste and spent 20 cents more than you needed to because you're not eating it. To have more power than you're using is the same as throwing away food. You're not using it. Why would you pay for it? When I see people trying to upgrade these, I see them in the forums all the time. Can I put 64 gigs of RAM in this? Can I upgrade? Oh my gosh. Why would they spend $400 in extra components on a $150 computer? You would have been better off buying a $400 computer and saving the $150. Just spend the money on the accessories to get a computer that already has that, and then the price of the computer is free. But this is not what people do. People like to DIY, and in many cases, DIY costs 3 times more to do it yourself, and it takes 3 times longer. But if that's what you want to do, just understand and set your expectations that this is going to cost you more, it's going to take you longer. If you're okay with that, don't complain about it. It's what you signed up for. If you just want to take it out of the box and use it the way it was designed, it's already ready to go. It's there. It's ready. It's like if you went to McDonald's and you got a meal, and then you took it home and decided you were gonna, I don't know, recook it and re-prepare it all. You should have just started with the ingredients. It would have been cheaper and faster. All right, that's the way I see it. You don't have to agree with it. It's just the way I go through life. You take that information, whatever it's worth. I'm hoping to turn many people who are not critical thinkers into critical thinkers. Think about it. All right, let's see how we're doing over here. Still updating. Yeah, this is going to be a while. And remember, we still have the 24H2, which is a massive update. But again, this is a great way to burn the computer and to test it. Let me just check our power settings now that I think about it. And let's see if anything is going to go to sleep on us. Where is it? Open source projector. Sorry guys, I'm on my side here trying to configure OBS to my local screen. Edit power plan. What is our power plan? Oh yeah, that could be a problem. I don't want the screen going to sleep on me while we're live. And a computer that doesn't have batteries, like a laptop or a tablet, does not need to go to sleep ever. Why? Because sleep often doesn't work. Computers don't wake up properly. It leads to support calls. And instead of saying, well, why don't you fix the problem, Carey? Why don't you just stop using sleep? It's not benefiting you whatsoever. If you don't have batteries, in my opinion, that option shouldn't be there. So people go, well, why would the option be there if I'm not supposed to use it? You can blame Microsoft for that. And that mode can be removed, by the way. So it's not as though you can't remove it, but just because it's there doesn't mean you should use it if there's no benefit to you. If you have a battery operated device and you want to save that battery without shutting the computer off, sleep is a fantastic setting, and I love it in that scenario. I mean, I've got a tilde key on my keyboard. That doesn't mean I'm using the tilde key. But why is it there? There's a key right up here, right next to the number 1. I never press it. In the entire time I've owned this keyboard, I have never hit that button. So just because you have all these buttons, what are you, 5? You gotta push all the buttons. Stop it. The buttons are there for a reason. They accommodate every scenario. Not every of your scenario, just every scenario from people that would buy the keyboard. In much the same way, sleep mode is for some computers, not for others. So if you don't need it, don't use it, you won't have that support call. Why doesn't it work? Sometimes it works fine. I'm only talking about the times when it doesn't work, and it's usually video driver related. There's usually some driver issue involved in it. And it's just a hassle for something stupid that doesn't benefit anybody unless you have a battery. All right, so I'm not telling you what to do, but if I got a support call because sleep doesn't work, take it to Geek Squad. You know, I'm not gonna, that's ridiculous. Unless it has a battery, then that is a problem I will resolve for sure. So just so you know, again, just sharing my attitude with the types of calls I get and the kinds of support requests I get where we deal with mission critical problems. That's where the computer is not able to function in a way the customer needs it to in order to get something done, versus annoyances and curiosities. That's tutoring. That you go to school for. That's not tech support. What's the tilde button for? That's not tech support. Why doesn't my sleep mode work? If you don't have a battery, don't use it. That's tutoring. Tutoring and tech support are two different things. And you should call the appropriate number depending on which one you're looking for. The good news is you can tutor yourself using any of the AI chatbots like Gemini and Perplexity, ChatGPT, Grok, Copilot. Just ask it the way you would ask a person. And it's almost making that job completely obsolete at this point. For people who don't know how to use it, there's a very good chance that if it's not already happening, when you call support and you wait on hold and you finally get through and you ask your question, you may not be talking to a real person. You may not even realize you're not talking to a real person. And it's doing this for you since you can't seem to do it on your own. And then it's reading back to you with the responses. That's all it's doing. So I don't know why you would make that take longer and suffer through when you could do it on your own. Now, if you've already tried on your own and you can't get to the answer, then it makes sense to call support. But the common consumerism is the minute I have a problem, I pick up the phone. And that's why tech support's not free anymore. People just abuse the heck out of it because they wouldn't even try. Now people are asking questions like, what's going to happen if I do this? That again is more abuse. It's sort of like, look, if you're paying somebody to be your fortune teller, I don't know what kind of accuracy you're expecting, but if you go to a fortune teller or a palm reader, do you believe they're 100% correct all the time? Well, how is that any different from asking somebody, what if? What if? What if you didn't have an imagination? What if there were no hypothetical situations? No one can accurately answer, what if I put 32 gigs of this? What if you just bought a better computer, if that's what you're thinking, instead of buying one that you're feeling is not strong enough for you, and then spending more time and money potentially breaking it, trying to make it better, when if you'd have left it alone, it would have saved you a lot of money and it would work much more reliably, statistically speaking. I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just advising you critical thinking. And you know, if you've had it for a while, any computer, and you feel like, I want to upgrade it now, it's been a couple of years, yeah, maybe. But then on the other hand, all the new stuff has come down in price, so a budget level from 2 or 3 years from now will far outpace this with more RAM and storage. I can guarantee it for for the same price as what this costs today. So you'll just be pouring more money into something that's losing value, and you'll never get to the performance of a new one after a few years for less money. It'll only cost you more and open up the possibility for problems, and you won't be under warranty anymore. With a new unit, you get a brand new warranty, better processor, faster RAM, faster storage, probably more RAM and more storage, probably faster Wi-Fi. I mean, everything's moving so quickly in technology that why would you want to hold yourself back? Oh, my 8-year-old computer's fine. Well, that's what everybody says who's never tried a new computer, because you don't know any better. It's like, why would I want to eat chocolate when I can sit here and eat broccoli? Well, I don't know. Have you tried chocolate? Never had it. Well, that's probably why. Maybe not for everybody, but there is a general consensus on this subject. All right, how are we doing over here? We're still updating? Yeah, we're still updating. All right, let me get back over to camera 1 and take a look in our chat room and see what you guys are saying, because I haven't been able to pay attention with all of my old man. What is that called? Get off my lawn. David Graham said, I've never paid for water, ever, and I'm 68. You've never been to a sporting event or a concert, a carnival, a fair? You've never been to a shopping mall and bought water? Andy says he likes games like Myst. Wow, that's going back to the 90s. Holy cow. I think there's a new Myst movie coming out, isn't there? Or is it just an update to the game? It's been a while, I can't remember. There's Charlie Purdy joining us in our chat room. Bruins44 says hello. Justin Fuller says hello. There's 3D Everything saying hello. Mark Leibowitz, a computer repair shop owner in the Chicago area, says hello. Oh, Bruins44 just became a supporter. Right on. Well, thank you for supporting the channel. We're happy to have you here. Steve Dodd says hello. Mark Leibowitz said, I had to reset a mini PC once. It was the last-ditch effort to revive a B-Link before contacting the company for warranty. Yeah, you know, it's a reasonable step. Steve Dodd renews his membership. Thank you, Steve. He's now a member for 31 months. Richard Palmentier joins us and says hello. Welcome in, Richard. Thank you guys for all being members and supporting the channel here. You make this so much more fun for me and enjoyable. I can't thank you enough for it. And sincerely, not sarcastically, I sincerely mean that. Let's go back over to HDMI 3, and we are still installing. Let's see. I'll make that bigger so I can read where we're at. Installing 35%. All right, I'm going to let that finish and then we'll restart afterwards. But overall, I mean, you can see this is a fine machine, and these updates take a long time, regardless of. I could have a $2,000 computer up here on the bench, and these updates will take pretty much the same amount of time. And it's not really about how fast your computer is, but more or less how fast Microsoft processes these updates internally. Lord knows what they're doing. And then on top of that, having a fast internet connection, or the speed of it, rather, will determine how long it takes just to receive these updates, some of which are very, very large. We know this machine is about a year old since it was introduced. It's brand new, but it was introduced about a year ago because the image on it is a year old, pretty much. So if you look on YouTube, for example, for other Trycoo WI6 reviews, you will find them, and you'll see when they were posted very many moons ago. And again, like everything else on YouTube, everybody hits at the same time, and then they never talk about it again. So having this break in between, letting this get polished a little bit with time, and letting the price go down when all of the mobs, has moved on to the next thing, that's when it's a good time to step in and pick one up at a great value, not fighting with others for competing to get one when they sell out real quickly, because that's all YouTube's talking about. And it frustrates me to no end that then the content creators never go back, very rarely, and say, hey, are these things easier to get today? Like a 9800 X3D AMD CPU, holy moly, these things were on fire. You couldn't get your hands on one. Scalpers are selling them $200-300 over MSRP and more. Today, you just go buy one. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And Mara says, I have an email. Thank you, Mara. Ben Laird contributes an Amazon gift card. Thank you, Ben. And also, once again, our friend Buster. Both gift cards today coming from Scotland, of all places. I think we got to go to Scotland. I think we could do a meet and greet.
There's no think about it. We have to go, and we should go.
I'm saying we need to do like a meet and greet. We'd have at least like 3 people show up.
I think it would be a blast. I've always wanted to go, and I think that we should do it.
Do you have a coat thick enough?
I'll get
one. Okay. She's going to need a coat for her coat. Thank you, Ben. Did I miss the weather? Did I miss it? I did. Buster says, hey, Carey, Marlene, everyone in the chat, all the best from Bonnie, Scotland. The temperature in Edinburgh, 56 degrees Fahrenheit or 13.3 degrees Celsius. Temperature in Phoenix, according to my phone, right now, where it's still getting hotter, we haven't reached the peak heat of the day, 107, so nearly twice the temperature in Scotland right now in this very moment. Wow. Thank you, Buster. And let's go back over to camera, HDMI 3 here, see how we're doing. Almost there. Almost there. And the thing is just whisper quiet. I can hear a fan. Right about there is when I can start hearing it. Now I can't hear it at all. That's how quiet that is. Richard Palmentier said, I still have the veteran PC I was gifted from Carey's channel in 2022. Yeah, that's the HP, right? Those were retired business machines that are built like tanks. The only time I've ever seen those not work is when people, I've had people that we sent them to that won't leave them alone. Somebody says, and by the way, this is so sad. I don't have a computer, I really need one. Can't afford it, whatever the situation. And we send them one. And should I change the thermal paste? Should I upgrade the RAM? I'm having a problem with it. I opened it because I heard something inside, and then I ripped the wires off of the fan. Oh my gosh, now I know why you don't have a computer. It's like they can't leave it alone. Now, in some cases, I think there were at least 2 that arrived with some damage. And when they tried to fix it themselves, they made it worse. And they did ask me, you know, should I try and fix it myself? Oh, it's broken. I guess you can't break it anymore. Oh, they broke it more. And it's like, all right, well, you know, what am I going to do? It cost me $50 to send it. Are they supposed to send it back? Am I supposed to spend another $50 and send them another one? At that point, I could have just ordered them a brand new computer on Amazon, had it sent for free. They'd have gotten it in 2 days, and it likely wouldn't have had any problems. So that stopped happening primarily because we were running into some people that either weren't being honest and didn't actually want a computer. They're just looking for something for free that they could flip it online, or I don't know, or they just wanted a toy. And we were really trying to help people in need, people who would really appreciate having it. So if somebody paints themselves as, oh, I really, really need this, it'd make a big difference in my life, and then they're telling you they're opening it up and they want to work on it, clearly you don't respect it, right? Otherwise, I can tell you growing up, we grew up with no money. And if I got something, that may be the only one I ever get. A bicycle, I took care of that bicycle. I oiled the chain. You know, whatever it was I was doing with the seat and the handlebars, it was all on me. I had to work for the money. I worked a paper route when I was about 10 years old. And, you know, not getting rich, but I was able to buy things my parents wouldn't buy for me. And because everything was so expensive, I was like, okay, I got to take care of this because I can't afford to buy it again. Because I was raised that way, it's inconceivable that somebody would be in a situation of desperation and the first thing they want to do is open it up and take it apart when I've all of the time, you know, to optimize and tune and clean and do everything before I send it to the client so they can just plug it in and use it. So personally, it kind of hurts my feelings. It's like a chef worked all day on your meal and you're like, do you have any ketchup? What's great with Richard, though, is I think I got Richard's story correctly, is that computer reinvigorated him back into the workforce to buy components to build his own computer. Is that you, Richard? And you built like 2 since then? That's amazing. And, you know, that's over and above anything I could hope would be helpful to somebody to re-inspire them and light that fire under their butt to, hey, I'm not dead yet, let's go. We got things to do. And it's so much fun. It's so rewarding because if you do want to dig your hands in there and work on it, build one. It's a great excuse. And am I remembering that correctly, Richard? I have a couple of viewers I confuse, and I don't do it on purpose. I don't talk to them often enough that I'm. He says, yes, that was him. Okay, good. See, that's awesome. Oh man, if everybody I sent a mini computer to responded the way Richard did, we'd still be sending them out. But unfortunately, a lot of people just go away. They get their free thing and you never hear from them again. And the downside of that is those computers only last a couple of years. So what are they going to do when that one dies? They're just going to reappear all of a sudden. Hey man, I've been watching you for years. Yeah, the last time you were here was when you got a free computer 3 years ago. Let me guess. Wait for it. Hey, you know, my Windows 10 is expiring. Can you help me with the Windows 11? Oh, I see. So, but for regular viewers and members of our community, we still, to this very day, will do our best to help people out. And if you're in that situation and you want to let us know what's going on and you're in the United States, we have a lot of these entry-level machines. We're just looking for sending it to somebody who understands appreciation and says thank you, right? We don't want to send it to somebody who's going to rip it apart. Not that we can stop you, But if we know you're going to do that, and that's going to result in support issues, we'd rather not give it to you. You can go buy one. But for the people that are like, wow, this is really going to help me a lot, thank you. Well, you let us know, and we'll see if we can help you out, because that's what it's about here. We want to help people who need the help. I don't need somebody who's a millionaire waiting in line at the soup kitchen because they're too cheap to buy their own food. I think that's morally and ethically wrong. On the other hand, if that millionaire is behind the counter helping make and serve that soup, let's just say at a soup kitchen, I think that's admirable. So which side of the counter are you on? And then I have to determine if somebody's lying or not. And that's why I don't worry about with our members in our regular community, because I've gotten to know you. But when you get people that come in here from, we've never seen them before, somebody they heard through the grapevine, get a free computer from Carey. It's not that we don't want to help them. We do. We want to help everybody, but we only have so many computers to give away, and we want to make sure they're going to our viewers first and foremost. Members are not, just regular viewers whose names we recognize. So if anybody's watching this, you got to plan ahead. So in other words, join our community, even if it's just leaving comments, friendly, supportive comments. Do that for about a year. Then hit me up with, got any spare computers? I'll recognize you. I'll say, oh, this person's been part of our chat room, or if not in the chat room, a part of our comments and community on the forums. I recognize you. Yeah, I'm going to help you out. If you come in out of the blue, you could be a bot. You could be somebody I don't know, right? And since I have a limited number, that means somebody who I do know that I know is deserving. Sorry, I ran out. There's none left. That's not a fair system. So I'm trying to do this fairly. And we certainly encourage people to be a part of the community, not to get a free computer, but the community is way better than any computer. Anyway, once you start hanging out with us and you see how kind everybody is and how friendly, it's its own reward. So anything on top of that's icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. You don't know what you're missing if you're not a part of the community. Let me go and see how we're doing over here. Oh, waiting on a restart. Let's do that now. And then on the restart, we can go back and check for updates. We'll probably get offered 24H2 if we want. If we don't get offered 24H2 and we want to put it on right now, we can download the free Windows Assistant, Microsoft Windows Update Assistant, and that'll put it on for us. But that'll take probably a good hour. So we don't have to do that right now. I can tell you this is going to run Cinebench. It's just not going to give you high scores, but it's not going to crash. You could do video editing on this, but why would you? It'd be painfully slow, but it will do it. Remote access, you don't need much more than this as a technician for me to remote in to work on your computer. It's primarily my internet connection that's the bottleneck. I don't need a fancy tool for that. I don't need a $3,000 computer for that. You want a game? You're going to need a you're going to need over $1,000 computer for gaming, plus the cost of the games, plus have the time and deal with a lot of why doesn't this work and why doesn't that work. That's the world of gaming. That is not the world I am in, and it's not what this channel is about. We're here to teach about running a business, about what it's like to be a real working professional computer technician. And the rest of YouTube, a lot of it in this arena of tech, is all dealing with games. And I realize I'm sort of fighting an uphill battle because businesses aren't coming to YouTube for advice. On the other hand, not everybody that has a computer on YouTube wants to game with it. So now it's just a matter of finding where these individuals are, because we have great content that applies to the vast majority of computer owners, and they're not gamers. Gamers make up a very tiny percentage, but yet on content, on tech-related content on YouTube, probably 90% of it's gaming related. So, is it them or is it me? I'm definitely not in the right place. However, the audience is out there. There's certainly enough audience to go around. They just don't know I exist. And until I figure out how to crack that nut, it's the same business, same problem every business has. You could have a great restaurant. You could be a professional chef. and offer great prices in a wonderful atmosphere, but nobody knows where you are or that you exist. Just because you're a great chef doesn't mean you're famous. I saw a comedian on YouTube who, I can't remember his name, ironically, but he said, you know, I've been a comedian for 35 years. And somebody in the audience goes, well, I never heard of you, or why haven't you made it yet? You must not be any good if you haven't, you know, if you're not a household name. After 30 plus years as a comedian, I've never heard of you. And the comedian says, what do you do for a living? And the person in the audience says, I'm an accountant. Really, what's your name? Oh, my name's Bob Smith. Bob Smith, the accountant. I never heard of you. You must not be very good at what you do. Anybody here in the audience famous? Anybody? Raise your hand. Anybody at all? So none of you are any good at what you do. I was like, well done. Well done. Richard Palmentier is a member now for 22 months. Right on. Thank you, Richard. He says, I enjoy the content and the community here. As do I, and as we do you. Thank you for being a part of it for 22 months. Peter says, I received a free train PC and I had to camp out at the train station and it's still working with no maintenance except for updates. First of all, Buster did not get a free PC. Buster paid 10 times more than that PC is worth, minimal, through his support and contributions. If Buster would have gotten 10 free PCs, we still wouldn't be equal. He's such a generous man. There will never be enough I can do to show my appreciation for Buster, and continues to be generous and kind, just as you've seen. And when I grow up, I want to be just like Buster. Am I ever going to grow up? I think this is about as high as it's going to go. There's Gregory Howard, speaking of our kind and friendly members. Hello, Gregory. How are you? Good to see you. I don't know why I asked how are you. I suppose you could respond, but it's going to be a delay. Hope you're doing well. How about that? David Graham's got 7 computers in his upstairs storage. Dell's an old white box in all years. Oh, that could be fun to go through one day and then wait another 20 years to do that again. And he says he doesn't need a $3,000 computer to game, only if you want to play at high level. Well, yes, what we're saying, right? Starts at 1,000. Was it Jay's 2 Cents or Gamers Nexus just did a review of a $6,000 gaming computer, and it sucks. Like, I thought $3,000 was a lot of money. No, the price keeps going up. You want to keep spending it, and you'd think you'd get something good for that kind of money. Now it's got heat issues, all that other stuff. So, you know, good luck to them. If you got that kind of money, I will just admire from a distance. Let me go back over here, see how we're updating, or if it's finished. Still updating, nearly there. Now remember, this is going to be a SATA NVMe drive. So it's not, you know, an NVMe, and nor should it be with that CPU. And you can't change the CPU without changing the whole mini PC. If that's what you want, don't buy this. On the other hand, if you're looking for something that's Windows 11 already installed, it's got a new warranty, it's got 16 gigs of RAM, this may be faster than the computer you're using now. If you're running an i5 from just a few years ago, this is just as fast. This is 4 cores. So you just might be, even if this is the same speed as your older computer, but this is Windows 11 compatible where your older one isn't, you have a brand new warranty and it's only going to take up this much room on the desk. And whatever you're paying in your electric bill will be reduced because this doesn't use as much power as the computer you're using now. If the computer you're using now is not Windows, if it's not Windows 11 compatible, it's also not power efficient, not compared to this. So you're paying one way or another, whether you realize it or not. You're, oh, I can't afford $140 on a new PC, but yet you'll pay an extra $10 a month for years, which will more than triple the cost of a new PC. That would pay for itself based on just electricity cost alone. It's food for thought. Sometimes you got to put a little money in to earn a little money back. It's called an investment, and at a certain point in time, this will lose its value when a newer, faster unit comes out that may be even more efficient, faster, maybe compatible with Windows 15. I don't know. I'm just saying, there's lots of reasons to upgrade besides, well, it still works. It's pretty rare anybody replaces a cell phone because it's broken. Most cell phones are replaced simply because they just want to. They just want the new phone, whatever it is. Could be, I want a longer battery. You could always buy an external battery pack, but for what that's going to cost, you could also get yourself a new phone. And, you know, there's all of these choices we have in life. And sometimes we make the choice that costs us the less today, such as using a credit card on a sale item, but we end up paying 2 to 3 times more for it over time, rather than, you know, in my example here, not using a credit card, having the money to pay for it. That's going to save you money. You might say, well, I've spent every penny I have to buy this, but now you won't have to buy it again for years, theoretically. So that frees that money up so that you can have a better quality of life. But if all we're doing is, like, I had a friend of mine, and he was just terrible with money. He would go to one of those rental furniture stores and he would rent a television. TVs are cheap. Why would you rent? Oh, it's only $20 a week. That's $80 a month. I'm like, within 3 months, you'll have the money to buy a brand new, pretty big flat screen TV. Why would you do that? And after 3 months, you still don't own it. He's going to pay 2 to 3 times more money so he can have that TV now than if he just sacrificed just for a little bit of time. 3 months goes by quick, and just go to the store and buy one, be done with it. But some people, you know, can't have that money without spending it. It does take some discipline, but it is so worth it. So worth it. And that's how we can pull ourselves out of those bad habits that consumerism has just really got a lot of people addicted. And it took a while to break me from it. In fact, to some extent, I still have a little bit of that, in the sense that we have a lot of computers here. That wasn't my plan going into it. I was hoping to be able to sell them. And then, you know, the consumer side of things, kind of the bottom fell out right around the pandemic. And I thought for sure it would come back. It was temporary. It's not coming back. It's done. So there's still people out there buying. But the problem is, if I sell these like on eBay, eBay gets a percentage, PayPal gets a percentage. I got to deal with potential scammers who will switch parts and try and send it back to me saying it doesn't work. I could sell it at a place like Jawa, and then we're right back to, you know, got to pay the shipping, got to pay the Jawa fees, you got to pay payment processing fees. I might as well just, you know, try and sell them locally, or pull the guts out of them and sell them as parts. That way, at least the shipping's a lot cheaper, and the total amount of loss, if somebody were to play a little switcheroo on me, would be just an item, not a combination of items that make up a PC. And even then, you know, to list it for sale, you got to get photographs, description. It's a pain in the butt. On the other hand, as many more of my clients are going to require new machines for Windows 11, I could just pull the boards out of these and put them in business cases. And the cases can, you know, the case is nothing. I'm not worried about them. So I've got to figure that out, because I'm running out of room here, and I just didn't have a crystal ball that told me this was going to happen. But all I'm trying to say is, at some point, the business and we as people, we have to shift and pivot. If what we're doing isn't working anymore, if it's not sustainable, then the question is, how can I make it sustainable? What changes do I make? It could mean calling around to get better prices and make sure you're paying the best price on car insurance, homeowners insurance. How much are you paying on your monthly cell phone bill? Can you get that cheaper from another provider? Or are you locked into a contract? That's how they get you. Do I need all these channels on my cable television that I'm paying for? Do I need that high-speed internet? Could I go a little one tier lower and save some money? If it's $20 a month, that's an extra $240 a year. Listen, I've been there. I do it constantly. I'm always looking for ways that If my cell phone service is still the same cell phone service, but I'm paying less for it, why wouldn't I? But too many people, and companies know this, they'll just start raising your rate because they know you're not going to check and you're not going to leave. So your car insurance goes up, your homeowner's insurance goes up, and they figure you're not even going to bother looking and checking. And they're right, most people don't. And your cable television, cable internet service, they jack that price up. What are you going to do? You call and you start turning services off. That's what I do. Gregory Howard said, Segatep Slath Mini ITX PC, or is it a coffee maker? It runs great. Yeah, I am so happy that found a good home with you, Greg. It is a very unique computer, and I really have a lot of pride in building that, if you can't tell. I'm so glad that it's in your hands and you appreciate it. Even though it's yours and you could set the thing on fire and smash it with a hammer, it is yours. I love that you're taking care of it and that you appreciate it, because that is a neat computer, very unique. All right, this should be about done, isn't it? Let's see. Yes. If I go back, I'm just curious now more than anything. I go back to Windows Update. Now you notice after those updates, some of these little shortcut things came back, like this Xbox. I've already uninstalled it once, and Office came back, and Outlook came back. So you might want to wait until all your updates are done first, because you might end up driving yourself insane doing it 2 and 3 times. Wait till you get, when we put 24H2 on here, for example, those will probably come back again. That's what I'm going to check. And then like this install WhatsApp is just a shortcut. We just remove it from the list. But let's do another check on Windows Update. Hit retry all. That's pretty common where updates are installing in the background automatically. And then you're, like in my case, I'm manually checking for updates, and it'll overlap and try and install the same update that's already being installed, because Windows updates aren't that smart. So the first one that started is likely the first one that completes. The second one that started will likely fail because it already installed, and then you'll see that, retry. And when you hit retry, it doesn't offer it again. And the reason it doesn't offer it again is because that's exactly the scenario that played out. Other times it may say retry again because an update failed or was interrupted or was corrupted, etc. But most of the time, at least in my experience, when I see retry, it's simply because it already installed the update while it was trying to download and install the same update.
Email.
And Mara says we've got email. All right, let's go ahead and start this. And I mean, why not? 24H2. And while it runs, let's go back over to camera 1 and we'll check our email. Hey, Jack Kugelmis joins us, and Shamim Kashvir is saying hello. Welcome in, guys. Email. Mark Gaines, our friend in Northern Ireland, sends an Amazon gift card. He said, here's a little something for the channel and a reminder to update the Trycoo All-in-One. Oh, so the Trycoo All-in-One air cooler, that's on a machine over here. You guys can't see it off camera. But we have a pretty busy week this week. So I don't know that I'll have time this week. Friday, I'm hoping I'll have the G-Skill cooler that I ordered from eBay to finish our mini ITX build. However, it's possible we won't get the cooler in time. So I'm not sure what's happening Friday. However, we have another mini PC from Trycoo that is going to go on sale on Amazon Prime. It's a little higher end, more of a middling. I'm curious how low the price is going to go. So we'll probably do that Tuesday. Of course, Monday on the members only, I've been showcasing the Synology 925 and the back processes that I use. And we're going to pick up from where we left off last Monday. If you're not a member, you're missing out on this extra content. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as Amazon Prime is going on those days, we will spend some time to talk about any of the latest deals. And again, it's really just there for you guys to take advantage of. It's not Amazon's not paying me to do that. Yes, I do have an Amazon link for things, and if you use that link, I do make a little bit of commission, and I do appreciate that. You don't pay any more. But that's not enough money, honestly, for me to talk about it. Like, I'm worth way more than that. So I'm doing it for you guys. I want you to understand. If I see a good deal, I want you to know about it because it'll be for a limited time on a product that I think is worth buying. If I don't think it's worth buying, I'm not talking about it. See, if I was paid, I'd have to talk about what they tell me to talk about. And if you use my link, which you don't have to, if you choose to use my link, I'll make a small commission on it. But since everything's on sale, I'll be making less of a commission. I should be promoting the things that are really expensive and not on sale if I was in it for the money. What else? What else do I have this week? I really hope to get back to the Mini ITX, the G-Skill build on Friday. I also ordered another one of those Apevia small SFX power supplies because I don't have any spares. And while I don't think it's the best power supply on the market, I do believe it's the best 600 watt, $50 SFX power supply on the market. So take that for whatever it's worth. Not the best power supply money can buy in an SFX form factor, but I do believe it's the best power supply 600 watt SFX that you can buy for the money. That makes sense? Not the best money can buy, but the best you can buy for the money. There are better, more powerful power supplies with longer warranties and better reputations, and they cost nearly twice as much. So I'd rather have two of the cheaper ones, because the expensive ones fail too. I'm just saying, it's not like you're guaranteed not to have a problem because you bought a name brand like EVGA or Seasonic. I've had to return half of the Seasonics I've purchased, and I won't buy them anymore. Big Sky Kodiak just became a supporter. Right on. Thank you, Big Sky Kodiak. Welcome in to our tech club, part of our Gatorade Brigade. I don't know why that amuses me. Gatorade should pay me for that, shouldn't they? Let's see, how are we doing over here on our update? It's going to be a while, isn't it? It's getting there. Do you guys have any questions regarding this or other mini PCs? What else can I answer? Router, networking, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, NAS, flash drives, storage, memory, motherboards, cases, power supplies, coolers, anything of that nature, I deal with every single day. For other questions that I don't consider myself an expert on, we have an amazingly well-educated and experienced chat room. And always look to the chat room for your answers. Don't just listen to mine, because sometimes, many times, there are alternative answers that are more preferable to my answers that are being volunteered by our wonderful members here. So don't be shy and don't be afraid to ask. Even if my answer is to point you somewhere to go, here's where you need to go for that. It's not a dismissal. I'm just trying to be quick about it, right? Just like, here you go. And, you know, I'm still working with clients off camera, dealing with regular computer issues. Every once in a while, I have a few customers, they just don't do any maintenance. And usually the conversation starts off with, you know, that computer that we've got you built for us 5 or 6 years ago, I think it's probably time for it to be replaced. And, you know, I'm a terrible salesman, because the salesman would say, well, let me tell you what I got. That's not what I do. Well, what makes you think the computer needs to be replaced? Well, it's doing this slow and it's doing that slow. Okay, but I haven't looked at it in 5 years. So, you know, come to find out it's only been 3 years once I look it up. It hasn't been 5. There's nothing wrong with that computer. There shouldn't be. Other than you just probably haven't performed any maintenance. That's Windows updates, driver updates, delete temp files, all the stuff you see me do. Let's try that first, maybe. See if we can get you back up and running. That way it's not as invasive. We're not dealing with setting up a whole new computer. It saves you money. And I can do it all remotely. And then as far as any issues, any blue screens, something's not working, tell me, give me a chance to fix it. Let me determine if you need a new computer. Now, sometimes a customer says, I don't care if I need one, I want one. What do you got? Well, never mind. Okay, I'll tell you what I got. But 9 times out of 10, the customers go, oh, I like your idea better because I didn't realize it's only been 3 years. And you're right, I haven't done any maintenance. And, if it's going to work for us the way it used to, we would have no reason to replace it. All right, well, unless we're in a big hurry, why don't I try that first? And boy, the number of calls I've been getting that way for the last 6 months, don't get me wrong, it doesn't upset me. I'm just surprised how it kind of all happens at once, or it doesn't happen at all. I've got a client, he says, how often should I be calling you to do this maintenance? I said, you should call me once a year. Like if you have no reason to call me. And I'll be darned, but I forgot about that conversation. And I had a voicemail the other day, and this client said, hey, I'm calling you because it's been a year since you performed maintenance. We don't have any problems. He and his wife both have computers. I imagine there's probably people watching the show that think I'm talking about them. This is so common. I'm not talking about any particular person. I'm telling you that I'm getting a bunch of this, like all at once. And the difference is, this is one time a client called me without any problems. They said, there's nothing wrong, but you told me last year that I should have you log into it remotely and do maintenance on it once a year. It's been a year. Can we schedule it? Yes. Here's why this pleases me. 1, we're being proactive and not reactive. 2, it won't take me as long. I won't have to go and untangle a ball of Christmas lights that has been sitting in the garage for 5 years. I'd rather untangle them sooner rather than later. I guess the ball of Christmas lights is not a good example, but if they keep getting moved around and shifted and the wires get tighter and the knots are harder to undo, I would rather prefer to avoid that and not work that hard. So if we can do it annually, then at least for home users, that means there's less work that needs to be done, less of my time. It also means it's going to cost them less money. It also means they're likely not going to have a problem. But this is a very difficult thing to tell your customer that doesn't sound like snake oil. Because you will run into customers that go, well, what happens if I don't? I don't know. How long will it be before I have a problem? I don't know. Well, then how do I know you're doing anything that's making a difference? Well, have I been doing that for you in the past? Yes. And have you had any problems in the past? No. So that's how you know. Well, how do I know there wouldn't have been any problems anyway? Well, do you change the oil in your car? Yes. Well, why? Nothing wrong with the car. Why would you change oil? They take it in the back somewhere. Like if you take it to a dealership, you don't get to see them do it. Did they really do it? So you took a perfectly good working car that has no problems. They took it in the back. They let you know when it's ready. You pay money. They give you the car back. And it drives the same way. There's no difference that you can tell. Do you do that? Yeah. Well, what happens if you don't? How long can you drive that car before a catastrophic engine failure? Nobody can say. Maybe you'll sell the car after a couple of years before that happens. It'll be somebody else's problem to deal with the sludge that you can't see that's built up in the engine, but not enough yet to kill it or cause a problem. Maybe it'll be a year. Maybe it'll be 5 years. I don't know. And in my experience, the end result is, well, let's find out. Okay. So I haven't done anything wrong. They just don't believe I'm doing anything for the money. They feel like, we're paying you money, but we don't see what you do because I'm doing it remotely. And I go, well, have you had any downtime? No. Have you had to call me with any problems that were a result of a computer issue versus, say, a user issue where you didn't know how to do something? No. So, you ever had any data loss since I've been? No. That's what you're paying for. Yeah, but maybe that would have still been the case if I wasn't paying. Maybe. It's insurance. So, yeah, I mean, when you deal with customers who don't appreciate the value, I don't try to change their mind. I don't try, again, I'm a terrible salesman. I won't give them all kinds of warnings and stuff. If you don't see the value in what I do, no problem. They said, I would rather just call you when I have a problem. I go, well, I don't do that. What do you mean you don't do that? I said, well, if you wait until there's a problem, it's going to be very stressful because you're going to want it fixed immediately. And I've got other work. I've got other clients. I can't prioritize you anymore because you're not doing regular maintenance. So I've got clients on retainers. If you go off your retainer, you're no longer a priority for me, which means if I have time and when I have time, I can schedule you and get around to it, and you'll pay the full price hourly rate, not the discounted retainer hourly rate. And it may be a couple days before I return your call. If you're on a retainer, it's a 4-hour service level agreement. You will get a call back within 4 hours. And typically you get a call back within an hour in most cases. I'm self-employed. I don't have any employees. I don't sit here at my phone waiting for it to ring, waiting for you to call me. I can't pay my bills like that. So I'm helping other people. I'm making YouTube videos. You leave a voicemail, I will call you back. I will call you back as soon as possible when you're on a retainer. If you're not on that retainer and you want to be reactive and you want to put that stress in my life, if you think what you're paying is a lot now, just wait, because I'm going to charge you nearly twice as much for that kind of stress. And it's going to take 2 to 3 times longer to fix the problem because you will have allowed it to fester to a point where the computer went from being annoying to not working at all. And then you called me. Now I've got to unwind all and untangle all of the piles, the layers of problems that have stacked. I really don't want to do that work. However, if my schedule allows for it, and if I have time, then we can, schedule it and bill it accordingly, but it's not going to happen quickly. And they said, okay. And about 5 years later, they called me. This one client called me, and everything was messed up. I mean, everything. Every computer, everything was hosed. And I kind of, heard about the situation, and I saw the equipment with cobwebs on it. Cobwebs. Nobody's touched it for 5 years. And now it's so bad, nothing is working. It's not one thing that's not working, everything. And I said, well, I can put this in my schedule, I can fix this, but it'll be twice the price. So if this would have been on a retainer, it would have never happened. How do we know that would have never happened? Well, there wouldn't have been cobwebs on it, I'll tell you that. We would have never allowed it to fester. It would have been solved much earlier on. And it's like you're driving a car and a rock hits your windshield and you get that little imperfection in the glass. And yeah, I don't care, it doesn't bother me. And then the cold or hot weather comes and the glass expands and contracts and it becomes a line right across the whole windshield. And then you're drinking some coffee and you spill it onto your cloth seats and now you've got a dark stain. And you just throw the wrappers down on the floor. There's some things that fall between the seat. I'll get it later. You got brakes that are squeaking. Before you know it, you have 12 to, $1,200 to $4,000 worth of work that needs to be done to undo all of that. My preference is let's take care of the problems as soon as possible as they occur. So the minute I get a problem with the windshield, let's go ahead and fix that now while it's cheap, because the minute it cracks across the whole windshield, it's a lot more money. Spilled some coffee. Let's get that stain out of there right away. Some trash on the floor of the car, the floorboards. The next time I'm next to a garbage can, let's just throw that out. It takes 2 seconds. And if you stay on top of it like that, you end up having a much nicer car, a much longer period of time. That's more pleasurable to own. That's my philosophy, and I treat computers and my clients' computers that way as well. So I do enjoy the challenge of fixing computers regardless of how much they've festered. I just don't like the pressure of why is this taking so long? And then what I will do right out of the gate is I'll tell them how much I think it's going to cost them. Like, I'll tell you right now, you're going to spend $6,000 to fix all this. And if they're good with it, they'll pay it. I mean, this client had their whole email system went down. They have a NAS that went down, so they bought another NAS, and then that one went down. Then the computers went down, and their phone system went down, and then they called me. This is how much they did not want to call me, but they could not find anybody. They called 5 other technicians, and every time another tech came out, it cost them money, and they made the problem worse. So I'd estimate they spent $10,000 to $12,000 before they called me. So when I told them 6, it was probably a $3,000 problem if they were on retainer, and it probably would have never been a problem, or at least it wouldn't have been that big of a problem. We wouldn't have done all of these things at the same time. And then you go, well, where do I even start? Do I start with the email problem? Do I start with the computer problem? Do I start with the NAS problem? Do I start with the other NAS problem? It is overwhelming, and I don't want to do that. I mean, the benefit of being self-employed is I don't have to. So make it worth my while, I'll take care of it. But the fact that these people thought they were going to save money and that I was ripping them off because I wasn't doing anything, and so what would happen if we just stopped using you? I don't know. But now, 5 years on, now I can tell you. So I worked for them for 10 years. We never had not one problem. And all of a sudden, I'm gone 5 years, their choice, and now they've got like 8 or 10 problems, all unrelated, all requiring an investigation and focus of diagnostic testing and resolution. It is overwhelming. Not to mention how they made it worse by hiring other people, because they didn't want to call me back and admit they were wrong. And all those other people just made it worse. So you want to talk about layering problems on top of problems, and you just have to go at it piece by piece, layer by layer, until you finally work your way back down. What a nightmare. Let's see how we're doing over here. So yeah, when consumers call me and they say they need a new computer, the first thing I want to know is how old is the computer you've got now? If that computer's not 8 years old, it's probably still fine. It just needs maintenance it's never had. And that's usually the case. Other times, if the computer's more than 8 years old, it is, in fact, in most cases, time for a new machine. I had a client reach out the other day and said, I want to get a gaming computer for my child who's graduating. We want to give it to the child for Christmas. What would you recommend? And I said, well, I don't know what kind of gaming your child plays. I said, it's kind of like asking me about how much is a pair of shoes and what should I buy. You want hiking shoes, tap shoes, running shoes, dress shoes, high heels, boots. You want to spend $20 for a pair of shoes or $2,000 for a pair of shoes? I said, that's the first problem. I go, the second problem is, I don't know what the prices and the tariffs and everything, availability of any new parts coming out between now and Christmas. So it's way too early for me to price anything for you because I don't know how much things are going to cost. I also don't know what parts are going to be available. So I would need to know what kind of games your kid plays and how much money you've got to spend. What are you budgeting? In most cases, you don't get to play the games you want to play. You get the games to play that you can afford. So I said, rather than go through this the hard way, tell me what your budget is closer to Christmas, and I can put together a system. But it still would help if there's a certain, like if the kid likes playing first-person shooters, or if they like retro gaming or esports or MMORPGs or third-person or scrollers, or I mean, there's different configurations. Flight simulators can be one of the most expensive computers, demanding. Like Microsoft Flight Sim is massively overwhelming with regards to resources. So let's find that out first. What's the kid's favorite game or two? Let's start with that. How much money are you budgeting? And then ask me this question again in November. I said, I know you're looking for an answer and I just can't give it to you for these reasons. Again, it's like asking me what's a good pair of shoes to buy. I have to understand what the point of the shoes are, and what kind of shoe you're looking for. And again, I find most of the time they're answering their own question when they tell me how much money they've got to spend. Because there's what you want and there's what you can have, or what you can afford. And we can want all day, but very few of us have an unlimited budget. So where you need to start that conversation is, I want to get my child a gaming computer and I have $1,200, let's just say. What would you recommend? Now we can have a discussion. Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat. Right on. Thank you, Jose. Richard Palmentier said he's looking to get a round to it. I think they sell those on Etsy. That way when you say I'll get around to it, someone can actually give you a round to it and say, there you go, now do it. Get it done. Richard Palmentier said, my neighbor could not get his LG TV to work, so I went over, unplugged it for 30 seconds, and plugged it back in, hit the power button, and whoosh, it worked. Glad to help him figure it out. I had the same problem. Subaru Mike was having all kinds of networking issues, and he waited until nothing worked to ask for help. So he had a problem with his laptop where the right mouse click, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And he's like, this laptop has really got me angry, and I've reinstalled it. I'm like, oh, why'd you reinstall it? Now we got to go back and put AMD Adrenalin drivers on. He's like, what does that mean? I go, you just made my life 10 times harder because you didn't want to call me. How old is this mouse? Oh, I don't know, I've had it forever. I go, well, I think your right mouse button. I go, did you change the battery? Oh, it's the first thing I did is change the battery. I think your right mouse button's broken. You probably clicked it 2 million times in the last 15 years you've owned it. These don't last forever. Oh, I got another one. He reaches over, he's got like a $2 mouse in a bag, just no name brand, and it's Wi-Fi, and he's got it on a glass countertop, and it will not track. I go, you know what? Let's just forget this right now. There's nothing wrong with your laptop. You got a bad mouse, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to order you a Logitech, just a basic $20 MX. What are they called? Is it the MX3? No, the Marathon mouse. The Logitech Marathon mouse. The batteries will last 2 to 3 years in it. It'll track fine on the glass. They're refurbished on Amazon for 20 bucks. Well, why would you do that? Because I don't want you to cheap out and buy some cheap crap that you're going to call me about. I'm your friend. I'm going to help you. When I go home, I'm going to have it shipped right to your house. You'll have it tomorrow. What else is the problem? Well, this router doesn't work. Well, you didn't set the router up, so let me set it up for you. Okay, now the computer in the back doesn't work. That's because the computer in the back's on 2.4, and that channel's too busy here in your house. Let's put it on 5. That solved it. What else is the problem? Well, the TV in the bedroom doesn't work. It's got a Samsung flat screen. I go to look for Wi-Fi connections. It shows nothing. Nothing. Unplug the TV, wait 30 seconds, plug it back in, connects to Wi-Fi. No problem. All right, what else you got? And I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying he waited till every single thing has a problem. And I was like, this could have been so much easier and so much faster if we would have dealt with it the minute it happened. The minute you said my computer's not working correctly, that should have been its own little thing, and I could have verified it wasn't the computer, it was the mouse. You know, stuff like that. So deciphering what customers are saying they need versus just asking them, what's the problem? Don't tell me what you need. Because Mike was so convinced he has this laptop is bad that it's just terrible and this thing's been going downhill and it's been nothing but problems. And ever since we changed the mouse, I saw him the other day. I said, any problems with the laptop? Nope. Any problems with the computer in the office? Nope. Any problems with any of the TVs? Nope. Any problem with the router? Nope. Okay. I'm not waiting for him to ask anymore. You know, for help. I'm asking him. I'm bringing it up because I don't want it to stack up like that. It's frustrating. I like helping him, but I would have liked to have helped him one thing one week and maybe another thing another week. And chances are those two things were related to other things that likely would not have happened. That's all I'm trying to say. So if I had my druthers, if I had my way, that's how I'd like it. And that's why it's called a job. All right. Barry Klein joins us and says hello. Good to see Barry. I have to tell you, I've been watching more of the shorts videos from Matt's Computer Services here on YouTube. This kid blows me away. Absolutely right. He's doing all of his diagnostics correct. He's explaining it really, really well. And he's cranking out, you know, sometimes 4 short videos a day that are problem, solution, explanation. And I mean, I cannot find fault in any of it. Everything he's saying is exactly what I would say. The way he's going about fixing it is exactly the same way I would go about fixing it. The way he's diagnosing it is exactly the way I diagnose it. Might have to do a DNA test. Matt's Computer Services, search for it here on YouTube and go to the shorts section of his channel. Good luck stopping, because once you get started on those videos, like, oh, that was interesting. What's this one? Oh, that was interesting. What's this one? And 3 hours later, you're like, I should probably get something else done today. He's very good. And that's you know, in the term of short form content, our friend Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To also does some short form, but primarily does long form like us. Of course, Doug Betts, our friend over at Live Windows Stream with Doug Betts, does long form content. I think he's done a couple shorts, but I personally don't want to make shorts, but I don't mind watching them. They're a lot of work, so I appreciate the effort that goes into them. And then, of course, our friend Ask Your Computer Guy. You know, Scott does great work over at his channel, but because of the amount of work that goes into his videos with editing, you know, it probably takes him 4 days just to edit one video. So for him to release videos every day would be, he'd have to do nothing else but that from morning, noon, and night. And his content is also, all these guys, fantastic content. So if you're tired of the enthusiast content and you want to see real working computer technicians, there's 5 right there. On the other hand, if you're looking for gaming content and you're looking for enthusiast, hobbyist content, there's hundreds, if not thousands, both small and large creators. Home lab users and, people like Jeff Geerling, that a lot of what he's doing is very impractical, just for fun kind of stuff. It's not that it doesn't have any value, it's just, I don't see how you could make any money. The best job you can have, right, is something that you enjoy doing. And I enjoy doing what I do, and I'm able to make money from it. The enthusiast channels are generally spending money, not making it, when it comes to the type of content they cover. Somebody showing how to make a nano cluster. Okay, that's great. You have a nano cluster. It's this big. Isn't that incredible? Great. Now what do you do with it? Oh, you just have fun with it. It's a hobby. Okay. All right. So I'm looking to improve my skills. I'm looking to learn more. And to me, building a nano cluster just because you can is no different than playing, I don't know, a video game. You're spending money to do something that you find entertaining, but it's not making you any money, and it doesn't necessarily lead you to making any money, because that's such a vertical niche thing. Good luck finding somebody who would pay for that. So that's my attitude on it. But that doesn't mean the content's not good or that the people don't know what they're talking about. It's just my interest in it is I could watch a minute or 2 of it and go, okay, I get it, whatever. I'm not getting anything out of it. It's junk food. So for me, I enjoy junk food. And if I could live off of it, I actually kind of do. If I could earn, instead, I spend money on junk food. They don't pay me. If I could figure out a way that I could eat junk food and get paid, I'd be 400 pounds. Fat and happy. So, you should watch the content for the reasons you watch it. And I'm not going to point out the enthusiasts because there's too many of them. But I am going to point out the birds of a feather that do what I'm doing are very close to it. And in many cases, they do it way better than I do. And I want you to know, because they don't have the big audience. They don't have all the attention of the sponsorships, these bigger channels that are, let's face it, when you got 1 million or more subscribers, you're making commercials most of the time. They're just advertisements most of the time. And if you like watching advertisements, don't let me stop you. But I'd rather have a smaller creator with a more, somebody who's like-minded in why they're making their videos. Are you making your videos because you want to be famous? Are you making your videos because you want to be rich? Or are you making your videos because you're so into what you're doing, you want to share that passion with other people? And that would cover both enthusiasts and professional. So I take it one more step further and I say, how does this video benefit me in my knowledge? Is it something I could expand my business into that I'm not already doing? Is there a new product I could be offering to my customers that I'm not aware of? Whatever it is, routers, NASs, network switches, Wi-Fi, mini PCs, new CPUs, RAM, storage. So much of this stuff is so much nonsense and hype. I am very skeptical of it at first. So just to give you a few examples, all we were talking about for a while was RAM bus RAM and how much better it was, and it was going to take over the world. And then we were talking about Intel Optane and how much better it was, and that it was cheaper than a solid state drive and faster than a hard drive when combined with a hard drive. What happened to that? If I take you to something more current, for the last, well, to this day, framework laptops are still talked about, but very few people ever buy them. They're definitely not a good value. But people that are into like the repair factor of it, it's like all the hype. The Snapdragon processor, the Snapdragon Elite X or whatever it was called, it was all hype. It was all hype. It's not that it's a bad processor, but it's definitely not better than the Intel and AMD alternatives. Then, of course, you've got, what's that new memory called? The flat memory that goes in. How many years have they been saying this is the future of memory? And yes, there's been a couple of models that have had that memory. But you really don't see it. Oh, this memory is better. Oh, we're at Computex. Look, there's a new motherboard that's got. It's terrible. I absolutely disagree in that memory being better. That memory is far worse. Look, it can be thinner. Look, it can be faster. I mean, okay, I'm good with faster, but thinner? It isn't dead yet. It's crawling. For 2 years, it's been crawling, going, hey, look at me and all these content creators. This is the future. Well, we're in the future. Where is it? Well, they just came out with a new model. One company came out with one board. Okay. Forgive me if I don't seem overly excited, but I've watched this episode before. I have seen this happen over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And we're so quick to forget. Oh, the government's going after TP-Link. They're gonna make these routers illegal or something. Whatever happened to that? Did you forget? Did you forget TP-Link? Congress was going to do something. Remember that? Well, while you were looking over there, they were doing this over here where you were distracted. That's what they did. So long as you allow yourself to be manipulated by the content, it's going to keep happening. But the minute you say, hold on a minute, I'm feeling a sense of deja vu. There might be a glitch in the matrix. Start becoming self-aware of it. And these products do eventually work themselves out in time as to whether or not they're sustainable. And if, in fact, they're better, the market decides, not the content creator, not me, not you, the market. The product could be a better product. Is it HD DVD versus Blu-ray? Is it DVD plus R, DVD minus R? Oh, is it VHS versus beta? How many times are we going to go through this over and over and over? How about DVDs that you rent that you can watch once that burn themselves out? How about the Kodak disc camera? That was the future. How far back do you want to go? This has been going on my whole life. This is the future, they keep saying. And about 1 out of every 20 times they say it, they're right. But the other 19 times, the product fades and nobody remembers it until you bring it up and they go, oh yeah, that's because they've distracted you with this other thing they want you to be excited about. I'm just saying. Be aware of it. Don't get too excited, because there's going to be a lot of disappointment in your future. I'm just trying to save you the disappointment. Richard Palmentier says, my niece calls me Uncle Geek. Nice. Richard Palmentier said, I'm self-taught. I've got 2 years of computer science. I read a lot and hands-on over 20 years. Well, for me, Richard, it's really not about what you're capable of. It's what you're held accountable to. So you might be a great technician, but if you aren't getting paid by clients under the time and demands that require your action immediately, that you get it done right the first time, that you're collecting payment for, and that you are held liable and accountable to a third party that's paying you, well, you can think about yourself whatever you want to. You can tell me you're the best tech in the world. Compared to what, though? Compared to who? But if you tell me I've got business clients that pay me on a regular basis, that I maintain, that I'm held accountable to, then I can verify where your level of technical capabilities are in a way that's verifiable. But so long as we're just doing stuff on our own, you're not really comparing yourself to a coworker. So for example, when I when I worked for Intel or any of the other big corporations I worked for in the IT department, I was held to a standard. And in my case, I thought I was underqualified. Like when I first worked at Intel, I really felt like I don't belong here because these people are way smarter than me. Turns out not so much. In fact, I wasn't giving myself enough credit for what I knew. I personally find you're much better off saying, listen, I don't know everything. I enjoy doing this, but I wouldn't beat my own drum and say, and this is just me. I wouldn't say I'm the best. I wouldn't say I'm the greatest that's ever lived. I would not boast. I was brought up that that was wrong. And I always know there's always somebody smarter than me. There's always going to be somebody better than me. And the only way I know if I'm good enough is if I'm able to maintain a business. You understand? Like, I can sit at home and just do work for myself and friends. That's not the same thing. But when you have clients that will say, we're taking our business somewhere else, or what you fixed last week doesn't work, come back over here and fix it. We're not paying you again for it. That's where we kind of separate the wheat from the chaff in the sense of my level of understanding when people are talking about how capable they are. I'm always like, compared to what? So if you don't work with other technicians, what gauge do you use to say, you know, well, I've got 20 years of experience. What does that mean? Right? Like, okay, that's good and everything, but are you implying something? And you very well you could be very much a better technician than I am. I don't know. But I'm held to the judgment of the customers, not to my own personal judgment. And if the customers deem me not good or too expensive or too slow, I won't have a business. That's all I'm trying to say. You'd be much better off underselling it. You'd be much better off going, you know, I tinker on the side, and then like, oh, do you play piano? Well, I just tinker with the piano. And then you crank out like a perfect rendition of, you know, some piano concerto or something. And people are like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And you'll see that on America's Got Talent or Shark Tank, where these people come out and they're very humble. They're just say, well, you know, I'm not a firefighter, but I created this new way of putting out fires that I think is going to be very beneficial. And then I will tell us about it, show us how it works. Well, this is what it does. And then the sharks will be like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And have you sold any? Oh, yeah, we did like $40 million last year. What? This is how you build that enthusiasm and that excitement from people. But if you come in strong and then you end up not delivering, as a business, I'm going to tell you the secret to having a successful business. You set the customer's expectations. Customer calls and they say to me, I'm having a computer problem. And I say to them, something like that, I should be able to fix it remotely. It should take about an hour and it's going to cost you about this much money. Do you want to go for it? Do you want to move ahead? I set all three of those expectations. And if the customer agrees and I don't meet the expectations that I set, it's my fault. So I set expectations that are a little bit higher. So whatever I think it's going to take, add a little bit more time to it. However much money I think it's going to cost, add a little bit more money, not a lot. And if I can do it remotely, I'm going to try remotely. I'm not going to tell them for sure, but we could try it first this way. So I've set the expectations way lower. Then if everything goes well and I'm good, then it happens faster and cheaper and the customer's blown away. They're amazed, they're happy, they pay you and they say thank you. Richard says, I was held accountable for my work. Yeah, well, I took a break out of this business for a year and I lost. So just being at home, not working in the field, I had a lot of catching up to do. So, I mean, that's all well and good. while you're working. But when you're not working and you're no longer held accountable, things move fast. But anyway, regardless, I'm not criticizing you or anything. I'm just saying, you know, the fact that you've been, you know, doing this as long as you have and you enjoy it, I think it's great. Absolutely. He says, I'm still learning. Yeah, so am I. Otherwise, I'd be bored out of my mind, quite frankly. I would have stopped doing this years ago if I stopped learning. It's all good, though. He said, working at a tribal casino taught me a lot as a slot tech. Yeah, a friend of mine worked in Las Vegas as a slot technician. I mean, it's not a computer, but it might be more similar to a mechanic. But nonetheless, it's, you know, any type of skill. Could be a plumber, could be an electrician, could be a doctor, could be a chiropractor, could be a computer tech, a slot tech, mechanic. When you're working on other people's things and they're paying you for it, if you're not doing the level of work that they're expecting, you probably aren't going to be doing it much longer. So, you know, and not specifically to Richard that I'm talking to, but just generally to the audience overall, bear this in mind, because I find that actions speak much louder than words. All right, I think this is probably going to keep going for a while, and I don't think we need to wait for it. Normally what I do these days is I just hook up a remote KVM to this, and I just let it run, and I go upstairs and watch TV, shop on Amazon, watch YouTube videos. Maybe we go to the store, go grocery shopping, and just let it run. I turn the monitor off. I check back. It'll wait patiently for a restart. In fact, if it sits for a half an hour after the 24H2 update, it'll restart itself. There'll be like a countdown timer. Sometimes I forget it's running, and it's sipping very little power. Like I said, I have the monitor turned off. And then sometimes I forget, and I don't know, it'll occur to me, oh, I left that computer on. That's got to be done by now. So I don't do this ever in a hurry. Like, I'm not. If I'm updating a customer's computer, then we'll probably sit and wait for it, honestly. But even then, I'm not just sitting at my laptop connected remotely staring at the screen. I'll open up other tabs and continue working on other things, and then I'll just check the tab and see how that computer's progressing. If the conversation with the customer is dying off, I just tell the customer, let me let you go. You go have dinner, do whatever you need. This is going to take a while. I'll call you back if that's okay, or we can talk tomorrow, but just leave me connected remotely. This is going to be a while. So depending on the circumstance, but most of the time I don't sit and wait for them like I do on these live videos, and I don't think you should either.
Email.
And we have an email. All right. Thank you, Mara. Bull142 sends an Amazon gift card. He says, I hope you enjoy this Amazon gift card. Thank you to Bull142. We appreciate that. As I mentioned, with Amazon Prime Days coming up, you know, I'm on Amazon every day, and I'm watching prices. What I'll do is I'll add items to my Amazon cart, and then I click the Save for Later button. And every day I log into Amazon, I go to my cart, and I scroll down to my items that I've saved. And it'll alert me if the price has dropped or gone up or is no longer available from the seller you selected, whatever, right? I didn't want it that badly anyway. I'm watching for a price. And there's been a few things that I've had my eye on that I'm so worried I'm going to order it and it'll go on sale on Amazon Prime before I even get it in the mail. I'm just waiting. So I'm just hoarding all of the gift cards that came in since my birthday, just collecting them. And if there's no exciting deals on any of the 4 Amazon Prime days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sure it'll get spent, but we're certainly open to your suggestions for routers, mini PCs, motherboards, whatever. Do leave your suggestions in the comments. And if it's something we can afford to do that is part of this channel's normal subject matter, I'm sure you guys have some great ideas out there. We're not done working with Nemo yet, the laptop maker. We want to order a bare bones from Nemo and put it together and see what that's all about, because a bare bones laptop is a weird thing. Nemo also says we were not supposed to get the NV2 model of Kingston drive that's in the laptop they sent. We were supposed to get the NV3, and that the speeds should have been 6,000 megabytes per second. They're not supposed to be 3,600. They're saying somebody somewhere made a mistake, and they've asked us if they sent us the drive, would we swap it out and redo the test? I don't think it's necessary. You know, if somebody made a mistake, correct it. You know, put the NV3 in there, and it'll run the way an NV3 runs. I don't. And they said, well, we'd appreciate it if you do that for us. I said, then send it, I guess. I mean, we all know what's going to happen. We put the NV2, take that out, put the NV3 in, and instead of 3,600 megabytes, we're going to get 6,000. The question is, why did you ship it to us with an NV2 if you're telling me it's supposed to have come with an NV3, to which all I can hear is somebody made a mistake. Well, did they make the mistake on just the one they sent us? Or did you make the mistake across the line on all manufacturing? Don't have an answer to that. So if Nemo wants to send us an NV3 just to show that that was supposed to be in there, it still doesn't answer the question how many were shipped wrong. But I'm sure it's going to work just fine. It's just going to be 6,000 megabytes per second. That's all. Okay, we'll do it. We'll go through the motions. What I really want them to do is send me a bare bones unit, and we'll put our own RAM and our own storage in it. We'll show you how the bare bones unit arrives a bit differently without the screws screwed in. There'll be like a little bag of screws, and the battery will be disconnected. And then we can put the RAM and storage in we want, put our operating system in, see if there's any drivers we need, because on that last Nemo, we didn't need any at all. Windows took care of everything. And hopefully, they'll agree with us that that seems like good content and send us a unit.
They're attempting to arrange that.
Nemo is attempting to arrange which?
Arrange sending you both the MV3 and the bare bones unit.
But they never answered with regards to how many units were supposed to have the NV3 that were shipped with an NV2?
I assume that's a trade secret.
Well, if you're going to buy one, just watch for it, or just get the bare bones unit and do it yourself. It's a decent laptop, but somebody somewhere made a mistake. Richard Palmentier said, I found asking questions is a great way to gain knowledge. There's no dumb question. I agree. More importantly, I enjoy communicating back and forth, where I'm hearing you guys give me your feedback, and this isn't just me on the radio talking into a podcast, you know, broadcast of one way, listen only. I like to hear back from you guys. So even just the camaraderie of conversation is appreciated. AC's drafting back to being a supporter again. Good to see Aaron. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for renewing your membership. Andy said Matt was great. As a guest. Yeah, well, check out his channel. He's really, really good. Richard Palmentier said that young man you had on was very informative. I enjoyed that video. Again, check out his YouTube channel and click on the shorts. Let's go over here. I'll show you. We can do this while we're waiting real quick, and then we'll probably wrap it up for today. But let me jump over there. It's not like this is going to go any slower if we multitask. I'll just open up browser here. Start without my data. Not taking anything over. Okay, we'll go over to YouTube. And we're going to search for Matt's Computer Services. Now you see here, latest shorts from Matt's Computer Service. Just click on any of these. They're all like under 3 minutes long. And I'm telling you, this, you could be stuck here for hours. Because if you click on his name, that takes you to his channel. So you've got home, videos, those are going to be uploaded videos. Live videos, which he does a few of those. He hasn't done any for a while other than the one we did together. He also restreamed it. But here under shorts, that's where the gold is found on his channel. And you'll see these videos, they get a lot of views, and he publishes them. He publishes between 1 to 4 of these every day. I don't know how he's got the time. I don't see the time limit on this. Is that him? That's him. Anyway, I can't recommend that enough. Of course, I also like Mike's unboxing reviews and how-to. He's in the UK, and if you are looking for content there in the UK, or you're just looking for content very similar to mine, Mike does an excellent job, but with different products. Sometimes we overlap, but mostly, you know, he's got some stuff I've never seen before, and he does some stuff with Mac, which I won't do. And that's going to be under videos, but also be sure and check out his live section, or you're going to be missing a lot of content. And he does some shorts as well, but for me, the gold is in the live area, but also the regular videos are good as well. I think he does the live videos once a week, and then throughout the week, he'll release edited videos here. And then, of course, we can't forget about, if I can click in the right box, hold on. Let me try that again. Doug Betts, live Windows training with Doug Betts, very interactive. Probably the most similar to my format here. And Doug's been working computer technician who continually works. I got to watch an ad. Oh yeah, because I'm logged in. I'm not logged in. All right, there he is. There's our good friend Doug Betts. He's been in the career of IT about as long as I have, maybe a little longer, and still continues to service his real clients, just as I service my real clients. So we're very similar, birds of a feather. And then, of course, I can't forget about Ask Your Computer Guy. Now that's Scott Merrill, and Scott maybe gets a video out once a week, but they're really, really, really well polished and accurate. And I recommend you subscribe to all these folks. There's Scott recently did a live chat. He had a really good time about 2 weeks ago, but I hope he goes back and does some more live chats. He seemed like he really enjoyed it. And then, of course, under his regular videos, oh, he just posted. Look at this. That's fantastic. So speak of the devil, because his previous post was 11 days ago. It just happened. So another one, a good one to subscribe to right there. And of course, our good friend here in the community, Planet Cryos. He's not been doing as much lately, but if primarily you're looking for like BIOS update information, and he does some repairs, although this is from 2 years ago. If we click on his name and we come over here to videos, you'll see he does not have a live section, so he doesn't do live videos. And well, his last video was a month ago. He did 5 videos last month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All these say they were a month ago. And these videos are not getting the views that they deserve. He should be getting way more views than this. So it's just really about getting the word out. And again, this is another great one where work is being done by somebody who gets paid to do the work. They're held accountable for their work. And that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. With regards to the big million-plus subscriber channels, they're all well and good, don't get me wrong. But they're a little too, they're all too much the same for my taste. I much prefer, they're too common. I'd much prefer what's less common, which is why I make the videos I make. If the kind of video I made became common, I would probably make some other kind of less common video. If that makes any sense, the idea that other people are ignoring a big gap in the market is where I'm driven to. When everybody goes out in the heat of the afternoon and the traffic is hot, everywhere, and the heat is, at its maximum, that's what everybody else is doing. I wait until everybody goes home, the sun goes down, it's cooler. You'll see my whole life is designed around avoiding common. Right, Mara?
Exactly.
All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for us for today. And we're going to keep an eye on this to see if it goes on sale. So I'm not necessarily recommending you buy one today. It's possible. I maybe not. I really don't. Honestly, I have no idea. The danger is if it does go on sale and sells out and you really wanted one, then you missed. You missed it. I can't imagine they're going to be giving them away. There may be a $20 discount, something like that, or none at all. But if they do offer it with like a $20 or $30 discount, I hope you find out about it quickly because it'll likely sell out. So I would feel bad if you wanted one and you waited and then you weren't able to get one. On the other hand, I would feel bad if you paid more for it today than if you ordered it in 2 days. So I'm going to leave that up to you. But they're so affordable now. There's no reason to be, saying you can't have Windows 10 anywhere. The whole idea of all the hype about Windows 10 support ending. I've had people in the audience asking me, what am I going to do when Windows support ends in 2022? I'm like, why are we talking about this in 2022? And then all throughout 2022, what am I going to do when Windows support? You're 2.5 years, 3 years away from that. It's 2023. What am I going to do when my Windows support ends? 2024. What am I going to do when my Windows 10 support ends? Oh my gosh, it's still 2 years away. 2025. What am I going to do when my Windows 10 support ends? Let's talk about it in the summer. And before we even get to the summer, Microsoft says we're extending support for an extra year if you just sign up for an Amazon account. Or if you sign up for a Microsoft account and just sync your settings. Once you do that, you can disconnect from your Microsoft account and you'll get your updates. All this anxiety, all this stress for nothing. Nothing. And I kept trying to tell people that over and over and over again. You're worrying about it way too soon. Way too soon. So many things could have happened in 2022 to 2025 where a new computer would have been required because maybe your computer died. Maybe something happened to it. Maybe you came into some money. Maybe somebody gave you something. So many things. And yet you got 3 years. Let's get there first. So for those of you who got here, then you're still freaking out. Okay, Carey, it's been 3 years. Okay, well, Microsoft just extended it another year if you just do this one little thing. Well, I don't want to do that one little thing. Okay, well then don't. But I can't afford a new computer. Well, stop using Windows. Stop it. You sound like a Linux user. You should be using Linux. But I don't want to. Okay. You can have whatever you want if you can afford it. I want Windows 10. Keep using it. I don't care. Yeah, but what if my support ends? Well, then your identity gets stolen. Whatever, who cares? You don't care, I don't care. What do I care? I'm not making any money on it. You want to protect yourself online. But you don't want to pay any money for it. Use Linux. I don't want to use Linux. Okay, you don't want to use Linux. You don't want to use Windows 11. You say you can't afford anything, but you're going to be really nitpicky and demanding. Good luck. I have been telling you guys, and I'm just telling you so you're aware that you witness this as we continue moving forward. Because guess what? This is never going to end. Whatever the next trend of articles being written and hype being driven to TP-Link and being banned to this new memory to framework laptops to the new Snapdragon processors that are coming out. Oh boy. It's always the same. It's just going around in circles. And if you want to let yourself get worked up over it, don't let me get in your way. But, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. At some point, you've got to recognize this and not get swept up in it. You've got to rise above it and say, I've seen all this before. Likely this plays out the same way. There's no sense worrying about something you have no control over that may never happen. There's got to be a better, more productive use of your time, isn't there? So unless there's something you can personally do to change it, unless you have to, why are you worried about it today? So that's the way I see it. And we talk about customers earlier on, customers that have a problem with a computer that prevents them from getting something done versus customers who have a subjective problem with a computer. I don't like this little icon. How do I get rid of it? Seriously, that's your support call? I had a client the other day, and when they click on, maybe this one will do it. I think it'll do it because we don't have the latest updates. But let me just check and see, and I can show you what the quote-unquote problem was. You go up to, well, go down rather, to our File Explorer, and we'll click on our C drive. And where it says this PC, and then Windows C, and then if we open up folders, Windows, System 32. Well, I bet some of you, if you do that, you have something else next to the computer here that implies you're backing up to the cloud. Have you noticed it? I wonder if I have it on the streamer. See if the streamer will do it. No, it's not happening over here. It's an advertisement. And let me go back to camera one. It'll say, I'm trying to remember what it says. Some of you might be able to try this and see what I'm talking about. But it'll say something about Microsoft OneDrive. And it looks like you're pulling it from your OneDrive. But you're not. Because when you click on it, it'll say, for example, for my client, they don't sign into Microsoft. So it wants them to sign in. Well, if you're not signed in, it's not backing anything up. Then what is it? It's a reminder. This is a reminder to set up. But it sure as hell looks like it's already set up. If you right click on it, you can disable the reminder. It gets rid of it. It's not an application taking up resources. But the customer was just getting frustrated. Like, why is my stuff being backed up at the cloud? I don't want it on the cloud. And we're looking at it, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. It does look like it's being backed up to the cloud. Let's go look at your cloud. Let's go look at your OneDrive account. It says, please sign in. I go, well, what's your sign in? He says, I don't have one. I've never signed in. I go, oh, well, then that's not what it appears to be. So watch for that. And if it bothers you, right click. But that's not a production issue. It's an annoyance. And you say, okay, I want to get rid of an annoyance. Fine, relax. You don't have to, obsess and have to deal with it right this second. Take your time. I'm trying to triage in an emergency room people that are dying from people that have a paper cut. If you have a paper cut, you can wait. That's all I'm trying to say. You're all welcome to ask, and you're welcome to join the forums, by the way. And I hope you do. And that's a great place for you guys to help each other, especially where we deal with like preferences. I would prefer my start menu to be over to the left. I would prefer to not have this icon on my desktop. I would prefer, that's all well and good, that's legitimate. But it's not, hey, my network isn't working, I can't access any of my files, stuff like that. I've lost all access to the internet. Well, even that, you have to use another device, obviously, to connect into the forums, but we're absolutely happy to help you either way. But it just goes back to the whole, what am I going to do when my Windows 10 support ends? And they've been asking this now for 3.5 years, at least 3.5 years. Like it was impending. It's not. Relax. All right. Andy says, GMK Tech just came out with a Ryzen 3500U Mini at very good price. Pretty much the same as a WI-6 P5. but more expensive. Well, keep an eye on it during Amazon Prime days and let us know if it goes on Prime sale, because they might be raising the price up to make the sale look better, you know, make you feel like you're getting a better deal, especially when we're this close to the sale. And Amazon isn't the only one. Just in case you didn't know, Walmart, Target, and other retailers, they're still competing against Amazon. So when Amazon pulls a stunt like this, so do they. They retaliate. So Walmart may have better deals, and Target may have other better deals, and Best Buy may have better deals during Amazon Prime days. What a coincidence, huh? So shop around if you're looking for the best deal. They're not always going to be at Amazon during Amazon Prime days. Andy says there's plenty of N150 entry-level computers around. Some must be on Prime Day. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I'm sure there will be. I don't know what they are yet, but like I said, if you find out, leave a comment with the title of the item so we can search it and put a link in our video notes so people that watch us can take advantage of those deals. Craig Casabona says, is Intel hyperthreading better inside the CPU? The Intel Ultra Core 265KF doesn't have Intel hyperthreading. Pretty sure it does. With Intel chips, you've got performance cores and efficiency cores. So the efficiency cores are low power, they don't hyperthread, but the performance cores should hyperthread. So if we look up, let's go back over to this machine and look up the 265KF. All right, so let's jump over here. Intel 265KF hyperthreading. Let's just see what it pulls up. And I typed it wrong, but it corrects it. So this says it loses hyperthreading. Is this released? Normally, if it doesn't have hyperthreading, it's likely because it's only efficiency cores. This is supposedly a 14700KF successor, but it has 20 cores, but only 20 threads. And that means Intel is ditching multi-threading in a very bold move. Oh, well, this is news to me. Hold on, let me catch up with what this news is. When was this published? A year ago? It flew under my radar. You know, that's not really helpful. This article doesn't really go into explain it. If you own an Intel Core Ultra 7 265 with 8 performance cores and 12 efficiency cores, so normally this would be, the performance cores would have hyperthreading, so this would be a total of 16 plus 12, so you would have a total of 28 cores. Well, basically you're adding 8, right? And they're saying with more efficiency cores working along performance, the performance can handle more tasks without needing hyperthreading. Well, that's what they say. Well, let's do this. Why does Intel 265KF not support hyperthread? I had no idea. Of course, I don't use a KF processor. I wouldn't use a processor with an F on it because that means you have to provide your own video card. Intel's always offered lower end chips that don't support hyperthreading, like the Celerons, for example. But usually up at this level, oh, that's really interesting. 4% higher than a Ryzen 7 9900X, 14% better than the 14700K it replaces. It delivers performance akin to the 14900K. Well, I guess the proof is in the pudding. If they can achieve that without hyperthreading, then clearly they don't need it. There's got to be some advantages. Oh, and it includes an NPU. It's not as powerful as other processors in creative applications like Photoshop and Premiere. Same is true for some gaming scenarios. DDR5 only, that's fine. It struggles in terms of value compared to the Ryzen 7 7000X, and the 14700K is cheaper. Yeah. At the end of the day, there isn't any one way that is best. I mean, I'm surprised to see that on a high-end processor. Again, on Celerons, and when we're dealing with more and more efficiency cores, efficiency cores don't have any hyperthreading. So I was assuming you were just looking at the efficiency core numbers. But no, you're right. There is no hyperthreading on the performance cores there, but it still runs faster than the previous generation of the model it's replacing. And I believe it's doing so with less power consumption. So it's more efficient, but it costs more money. So the value, but that's true of anything brand new. The brand new thing always is going to cost more and give you less than the model it's replacing. Cars included, pretty much anything. If you buy last year's model, even if it's brand new, it's never been purchased, but it's last year's model, it devalues in price, therefore giving you more value as a buyer for what you're getting for the money. But that's interesting. Greg says, I have an NVIDIA 4070 graphics card. That's why I got an F series processor. But the problem is diagnostics. Like if you're having a problem with your video card, you'd need to put another video card in to test it. Versus if you just had the video card built onto the CPU, in that scenario where diagnostics are needed, you could pull your GPU, run off your internal graphics, and see if the same problem happens. So I never buy the F CPUs for that reason. I think I ordered one once by mistake, but never intentionally. Hey, there's Mats Olov joining us. Good to see you, Mats Olov. I want to try something here. Trying to remember how to do this on my phone. Is it bad that Intel 265KF CPUs do not have hyperthreading? Oh, it already canceled before I finished my sentence. Is it bad that Intel 265KF CPUs do not have hyperthreading? It's okay. Here's what it says. It's not necessarily bad. While hyperthreading allows a CPU core to handle two threads at the same time, potentially improving performance in multi-threaded tasks only, Intel's made changes in their new architectures to compensate for its removal. The Core Ultra 7 265K uses a different core design with more efficient cores and higher base clock speeds, which can lead to improved performance in some areas even without hyperthreading. The new core designs and architectures aim for higher efficiency. Yeah, that's what it's about. Where you get better performance with lower power consumption without hyperthreading. While hyperthreading generally improves multi-threaded performance, its removal in the Core 7 Ultra 265K doesn't necessarily mean a performance drop across the board. In some cases, the new architecture and higher clock speeds may lead to better performance in specific applications, including some multi-threaded ones. Intel's likely using the removal of hyperthreading as a way to differentiate its product tiers and offer better value proposition at different price points. Hyperthreading can be beneficial for certain workloads such as video encoding, scientific simulations. However, for other workloads like gaming, the performance impact of removing hyperthreading can be minimal or even negative in some cases. So in conclusion, while hyperthreading can be beneficial, its removal in the Core Ultra 7 265K and similar processors isn't necessarily a bad thing. It will depend upon the specific workload and how well the new architecture handles it. Interesting. I will tell you, we just built a Ultra 7 265K. It didn't seem slow to me. I think we're getting sometimes caught up with benchmarks. You know, it's like the Nemo laptop with the NV2 Kingston model drive that I'm like, hey, this is Gen 3 speeds at 3,600 megabytes per second. How did I know that? Go back and watch the review. At any point, was I complaining the computer was slow or it didn't seem fast enough? No, never happened. Out of curiosity, nothing but curiosity, I run Crystal Disk Mark, and how fast does this go on? As a human being, I cannot tell, because if you're going 3,600 megabytes a second, 7,300 megabytes a second, 14,000 megabytes per second, the higher up you go, the difference becomes less noticeable to a human. It ultimately is milliseconds. So unless you're able to detect milliseconds, which I cannot, and I've never met anybody in my life that could, what you're getting caught up in are the numbers. So why did I get caught up in it? When the laptop says it comes with a Generation 4 NVMe drive, I want to make sure I'm getting Generation 4 speeds. I want to make sure I'm getting what I pay for. It doesn't matter if I use it. If I buy a large combo at the fast food restaurant and they don't give me everything large, I'm like, oh, here's a small fry and a small drink, I ordered the large. But you're not going to eat it all. I don't care. It's what I paid for. If I want to throw it away or share it, that's my business. So in that sense, I'm like, wait a minute, these numbers we're seeing should fall somewhere around 5,000 to 7,000, maybe a little bit more than 7,000. But on most mini PCs and laptops, they're not going to be at 7,000. But they're also not necessarily going to be under 4,000. That's pretty bizarre. In fact, I've never seen it before. So I'm like, wait a minute, this is advertised with a Gen 4 NVMe at 512 gigs or 1 terabyte, whatever it is. Maybe I don't need a terabyte, but I paid for a terabyte. And I would be just as upset if I found out I only had 500 gigs. I'd say, wait a minute, you sold this to me advertised with 1 terabyte, and you sold me 500 gig. Now, if that was the case, I wouldn't realize that until I ran out of space. Well, how am I out of space? But by looking ahead and looking at the numbers, I can say, oh, okay, I can verify. But by using it, simply by turning the laptop on and using it, it would take a while for me to fill 500 gigs. It would take a while. It would take forever for me to just be able to determine, seems like my NVMe drive is running a little slow. Like, I don't think that would ever happen. And this way, benchmarks are sort of toxic. Because if what you're chasing after are numbers that you can't tell as a human being, you can't feel any difference, then you're just wasting money. And marketing companies love that. But at the same time, marketing companies also like promoting something that doesn't really match our expectations of those terms the marketing companies use. So if a marketing company says this is a Gen 4 drive, and we know Gen 4 can run, by definition, between 3,600 and 7,300 megabytes per second, I have never seen a Gen 4 drive run as slow as the one in the Nemo. And I wasn't even aware anybody would sell one that slow. And yet, Kingston makes the slowest Gen 4 drive on the market. I didn't even know it existed, and I don't know why anybody would buy one.
No.
And I've got another email. All right. If it's going to cost me the same amount of money to get the faster drive for the same capacity, why would I want the slower one, regardless if I notice it or not? I want what I paid for. Don't worry about how I use it. But without the benchmark, I would have never known. I would have had to look up the model number of the drive, like open up the laptop, look at the make and model, Google that with the specifications. Then I could see its highest rated speed is 3600, which matches that of a Generation 3's highest speed. That's Generation 4's lowest speed. And to the best of my knowledge, no manufacturer would be dumb enough, would have the gall to call something Gen 4 running where the overlap of Gen 4 and Gen 3 are. But yet, Kingston does it. And I'm not aware of a single manufacturer, even on AliExpress, they don't sink that low to deception in marketing. Because that's what it is as far as I'm concerned. That's a Gen 3 drive. Everything about that drive is Gen 3. It's just got a Gen 4 controller. That doesn't make any sense. It's like you have an old piece of crap car and you put tires that are rated for a Ferrari on it. Those tires are never going to get used to what they were designed to do, to withstand the heat and the pressure of that speed. Your car will never hit that. So you've wasted your money putting those tires on that car. In much the same way Kingston wasted money putting a Gen 4 controller onto everything else's Gen 3 on that. And it's despicable. And the fact somebody at Nemo made a mistake, I mean, look, it's feasible. NV2 looks a lot like NV3. The model number is only one number different. I could believe that's an honest mistake, but there should have been some quality control to verify regardless. All right, check my email. Oh, our friend Barry Klein with an Amazon gift card. He says, I hope you enjoy this gift card. I like it primarily to be used to prime your Amazon Prime account in anticipation of Prime Days. Right on. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Bull142, Mark Gaines, Ben Laird, and Buster for the gift cards. Yeah, we'll have some shopping to do here come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I think that's going to wrap it up for me for today. We've gone a little bit long, but I've enjoyed our discussion, if you couldn't tell. And just want to look here in the chat one more time. Andy says, I'm keeping track of a number of entry-level minis for Christmas gifts. Right on. Let me check on this little guy here. I'm sure it's still installing, and that's going to be a while. That's fine. There wasn't any other testing I wanted to do on it, so I figured, what the heck, let's just start it now. It's getting there. Although even the reboot's going to take a while when it's done because of the update process that occurs when Windows finally shuts down and it's back into the pre-Windows loading mode. It can alter files that are in use by Windows in that update, and there's a lot of them. You know, I will run disk cleanup on it. I'll install VLC on this. I go through the normal routine, and it's a good little computer. I just would love to see a great price on it. So here's hoping. If these go to like somewhere around the $100 price point, I'd snatch them up because they will. I'm certain they're going to sell out at that price point. I don't think they're going to get that heavily discounted, but it could. You know, the magic price for me on a mini PC, an entry level like this, is $100. Right now, about the cheapest I've seen of any manufacturer offering, let's say 8 gigs of RAM and 256 of storage, which is half of this. That gets the price down another $15. And the cheapest I've seen is right around $130. When we get the Linux-based computers, we've seen those at $110, but then we have to spend $17 on a Windows license to activate if we want to put Windows on it. That brings us right up to about $130 again. So for $3 difference, why do all the work? But if there's a great deal closer to the $100 point, or better yet, under the $100 point on these kind of equivalent machines, I want to know about it. So please let me know. And if I find out about it, I'll let you know. We'll help each other out. And same is true with any other computer-related gadgetry, flash drives, storage, memory, motherboards, cases. If you hear about any great deals, power supplies, Wi-Fi routers, please let us know in the comment section by just copying the title of the product. Since you mostly can't put links in our chat or in our comment section because of the spammers, just put the title. I can search it and put the link in there for you, and it can even add it to the video notes for people so we can help each other out and save some money. All right, that'll wrap it up for me for today. Thank you all so much for joining me, hanging out this Sunday. And a shout out as well to 3D Everything with a $5 super chat. He says, how is Mitch doing? I'm asking because I had a quadruple bypass surgery myself, and I can relate. I was on disability for 12 weeks. Thank you for asking, 3D Everything. I just talked to Mitch a couple days ago, and he was out at the bar having a drink. He's healing. He's going to take a couple weeks, you know. I think 6 to 8 weeks. Everything went really well. He's got cardiac physical therapy, and he's doing everything he's supposed to do. And he is healing like a Terminator T-2000. And I'm sure he's going to be back to his old self here in just a couple weeks. He's well on the mend and doing better than expected. So thank you for asking. And we'll have him back on the show, and he can show off his scar. All right, David Greathouse just became a member. Thank you, David. And again, thank you to AC's Drafting for renewing on membership, as well as welcome into BlueSky Kodiak as a new member here, and Bruins 44. Steve Dodd renewed membership, and Thomas Mac T renewed membership, as well as Richard Palmentier. And just a reminder, we do members only on Mondays. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock, there are videos that only members can see, and they never become public, never ever. So as a member here, we hope you'll join us for these exclusive members only videos. And now that you're a member, go back and look at some of the members only videos you've missed, because last week we talked about the Synology and how I use it in this synchronization software and how it all works. And we're going to pick up on from last week, this week. So if you haven't watched last Monday's video, at the very least, I recommend you watch that, because we're going to pick up from there. Also, if you have those videos on Mondays are more informal, so we're just hanging out. You know, it's less business and more conversational. Any subject's up for grabs, pretty much. I still try to avoid politics and religion because it only makes enemies. But apart from that, you know, we love hanging out with you guys, and we certainly hope you take advantage of those members-only videos. You also have access to any videos that are older than 12 months old. Once the videos hit 12 months old, they go into our archive, and members can access the entire archive of previous content going all the way back to 2009 or 2008. But thank you so much for supporting us here. So we remain independent. We're not taking on sponsorships where we're being told what we can say or how we can say it or what we have to review, or that they have to preview any content before we show it to you. I don't want to do that kind of content. That's already being done ad nauseum here on the platform, so I don't need to add to an overly saturated content style, in my opinion. Speaking of our friends at SCD Keys, this is where I go to get my Windows and Office licenses. This is not a sponsorship in the sense that, you know, we're not making any commission if you guys buy a license or you don't, but they are reaching out to help me and help you with a discount code, 30% off with coupon code Carey, with 6 months of support on real legitimate license keys. When you buy those shady license keys, yeah, maybe you get away with it, maybe you get worked over. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gambling with my business. So when I buy product keys, they've got to be the real deal. Some of my clients are attorneys. This would not be a good look for them if they found out their keys were not legit. That would not work out well for me. So if you want to know who I use in my business and you want to know how much I'm paying, that's where I'm going, and that's what I'm paying, the same as you. And we certainly appreciate the folks at SCD Key extending this offer to our audience. And all the links for the different variations of Windows and Office are in the video description below today's video. Also, for full disclosure, Trycoo sent this to us to evaluate, and we certainly thank them for sending it under no condition. In other words, we review it, the way we review it, when we review it, how we review it. We're honest, we're live. A lot of companies do not want that. Most companies that we talk to, they don't want to give up the control. There's no trust. We appreciate Trycoo's trust, and we appreciate the value they offer in the marketplace. This is a very crowded marketplace with many PCs, and this is definitely a brand I would consider much along the same with many other brands. They're not alone in that. However, there are a lot of brands I would also stay away from. And I tell you as much when we review them overall, what the problems are. And it's not really for me to tell you what you should buy. I'm just telling you what I would buy. When we looked at that brand, just to give you, just name names, Soyan, Soayan, Google them. Where are they? Where's your support? Where's your drivers? Where do you get any help? There, it doesn't exist. But it's cheaper, okay? Not by much. Now try that with Trycoo. You're going to find website, you're going to find drivers, you're going to find support. Couple dollars difference. And not much. So the quality of this is great, especially when you consider this is a $150 computer. It's amazing to me that this whole computer costs as much, it costs less than how much Microsoft wants for Windows 11. Do you know how much Microsoft wants for Windows 11? Like if you ever tried to buy it from Microsoft, I'm going to show you this and then we're going to go. Let me come back over here real quick. So I want to show you, I'm not exaggerating, it's not hyperbole. This is the, if you wanted to say, look, I want to make sure Microsoft gets every penny that they want because, you know, they're suffering. He said sarcastically. Windows 11 Microsoft buy. Let's see. Right here, Microsoft. We're at Microsoft.com. And let's see. Where do we buy it? We go back. So we want to go to Microsoft. That's not Microsoft. I mean, Best Buy sells it. I don't know what Best Buy charges for it, since that link came up first. Well, that's not very useful, is it? That's just promoting computers with it already installed. Buy and download Windows 11 Home. That seems promising. Okay, so for Windows 11 Home, to download it, right? They're not sending you anything in the mail. You're going to download this. It's $140. That's $10 less, or sorry, yeah, $10 less than this computer, right? And what about Home? How much is that? Oh, do you want a USB stick that you can never overwrite or use again? Apparently that's the same price, but you're going to have to wait for it to arrive in the mail, and you'll never be able to update that USB stick to a newer version. You'll always have to install the old version and upgrade on top of it on the computer. The USB stick is unwritable. So, where about Windows Pro? Windows Pro, I think, is $199. So for less than the cost of the operating system that's built onto this mini PC, you get the operating system. So effectively, you're getting a discount on the operating system, and the rest of the computer is at no additional cost. That includes the VESA bracket, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, the cooler, the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM, the storage, the power adapter. I mean, suddenly now that price seems like a bargain, right? When you really think about if you were to piece this together yourself, you couldn't do that for $150. Try it. Prove me wrong. Show me you can build this for under 300 bucks. Show me a board, power supply, cooler, RAM, storage, operating system case, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, network card, sound card, all put together yourself for under 300 bucks with new parts, with warranty, plus the cost of the OS. This is half of that. You don't have to do any of the work. I'm just saying, sometimes you change the way you look at something, and the thing you look at changes. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Thank you all the members for making these videos possible. Of course, Trycoo. Thank you to Mara, of course, for all the work she does in the background with our thumbnails and our video notes and answering your emails. If you want to reach out to us in email, just realized I haven't provided that to you. Right here is our email address. Be sure to take your time, spell it slowly. Please proofread what you write before you hit the send button. It doesn't do us any good if never press twice flexible. I don't know what that means, if that's what you've written. Please reread what you write. Slow down, because otherwise it's going to take us twice as long to give you an answer. So we appreciate hearing from you. We enjoy hearing from you. You're not bothering us. Feel free to reach out anytime. That'll wrap it up for me for today. We'll see the members, all of you in the chat. I hope you'll all join me again here tomorrow at 1 o'clock Phoenix time. And until next time, bye for now.